Jason Allwine in the house.
Hey, man, how's it going? Thanks for having me on. It
Good.
has been an hour, to say the least, to pull the curtain back a little bit. What's going on over here behind the scenes? For everyone, rabbits like to chew cables. So I have an Ethernet cord that got chewed 5 minutes before going live. So we had to push this thing back a little bit. Ran to the Best Buy. But, man, it's showtime. I'm excited to be here.
We both have rabbits. We're both rabbit dads, rabbit dad life. And when I first saw your rabbit in your studio, I was thinking, wait a second, this is a bad idea. I asked you, I was like, he doesn't chew your cables? And you were like, no, he doesn't chew the cables. He doesn't like the cables at all. I was like, really? Because you got to watch these guys. They're pretty sneaky. They don't want to. The reason they like to chew the cables is they like to have these routes through the forest. And they're and escape routes, and sticks and vines, they will inhibit those routes, and so they make sure they run their route every day, and they just chew all the vines that might be inhibiting them. That's why they can get maximum speed, box or whatever it is. But that's also why they're easy to trap for humans, because it's easy to find those routes. So if you know what to look for in the woods, you can see, okay, this is clearly a rabbit route. A, there's droppings, but B, you can see how they've chewed branches and twigs, to smooth out the area. And you just put your traps down there, and you got them. You got a little rabbit. Not that I would ever eat a rabbit. They serve rabbit in some like French restaurants, and my wife won't go to those restaurants. She doesn't even want to see it on the menu, much less order it. She doesn't even want to see it listed.
I feel that 100%. I'm going to be honest. I love my little guy. We actually found him on a hike. He was just out. Somebody, I guess, had abandoned him.
What?
Yeah, and you can tell. Like, you can tell the difference between a wild and a domestic rabbit. And we were like, that's not a wild rabbit. What's going on here? Yeah.
Because the moment you get anywhere close to a wild rabbit, boom, they just bound away. They're so athletic. Like, the difference in athleticism between a house rabbit and a wild rabbit, it's incredible. It's like a wild rabbit would be, Xavier Worthy, and a house rabbit would be like Vince Wilfork. Like, it's just very different. They're fatter, right? They're not as quick, and they're just much more subdued because life is good. Life is good when you're domesticated. You get everything handed to you. Where life out there with hawks and foxes and cars and snakes, you name it. Man, they got a lot of predators, and so their heads are on a swivel, and boom, they're out of there the moment there's any rustling of anything.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, they actually sleep with their eyes open. It's crazy. Like, that was something I had to learn about my rabbit. I was like, why is this dude never blinking, never closing his eyes? Because he's a prey, and that's just instinct, right? You're always, as you said, head on a swivel. It's wild out there.
Our rabbit does actually. Ashton is his name. He does sleep. He just closes his eyes. He's just he knows it's now. He doesn't have anything to worry about. So he knows. Have you mentioned this? Have you brought up this story on Wake and Take?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They actually, it's funny with Wake and Take. Actually, I don't know if you know this. Even I started a 32-team Dynasty league with the listeners. So it's me and 31 other listeners.
What?
And they all know. Yes. Yeah. I figured might as well go big, right? But yeah, every time I'm like late for a show, they're like, "Oh, it's the rabbits."
You go superflex only, right? There's no quarterback.
Yeah, correct. Yes, superflex only, no required quarterback.
No required. You can't do a required quarterback in 60. What?
No, because then no one would have a quarterback. In fact, I even imposed you can only roster 2 quarterbacks as well, which kind of keeps the waiver wire open as well. It's interesting. I'm very excited to see how it'll go throughout this season.
All right, so 64 quarterbacks drafted, rostered. Yep. Okay. Still pretty thin. still pretty thin. Which quarterback is on the waiver wire right now?
Let's see. Hold on. I've got to pull that up.
So we know Sam Darnold is rostered. We know that.
Yep. And
we
I
know
rostered
all the Jacoby Brissetts, well, what about the second quarterback in New York? Is that Drew Lock? He's got to be rostered, right?
Let's see. Quarterback.
Drew Lock's got to be on a roster.
The most rostered quarterbacks that are available are Zach Wilson, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Stetson Bennett. Not terrible.
What do you mean?
I mean, not great.
That's like terrible.
That's pretty terrible.
That's everything. That's everything that you would want in terrible. I can't think of anything more terrible than.
You're totally
right. Imagine if that was your franchise and those were your quarterbacks. You'd be the Raiders.
It'd be a handsome room.
Yeah, you'd feel like the Raiders of the last couple of years. That's what it felt like. Suddenly Aiden O'Connell is like a revelation. They're like, oh my God, we got our guy, we got our quarterback. It's going to be Aiden O'Connell. And I was drafting in a deep best ball league at the FSGA, and I cardinal rule breaking mistake. I waited too long for my second quarterback in a 14-team best ball league, and I got stuck with J.J. McCarthy, and now he's having surgery. So if your second quarterback is having surgery, you don't have a third quarterback in a best ball league, you're feeling pretty dumb. And so now it's all about Jaden Daniels, man. He's got to give me qualified weeks every single week. I can't have a down week, or I'm done, or I'm toast in that. Yeah. So let's go. Jaden Daniels, his ADP will finish at the end of this month, beginning of the season. The Jaden Daniels, he's going to be QB-X. What is it?
Let's see. Right now he's what, QB-12, QB-11?
Let's say it's QB-12 now. He had a great first preseason game. He looked great. He ran in a touchdown, which is what everyone wants to see.
The problem is the quarterbacks at the top are so hard to pass. So I could see him. I mean, I think he should be ahead of Caleb Williams. So that's probably one. Put him quarterback 11 just because of the Konami code. And then I guess the question becomes like Jordan Love or Kyler Murray or Jaden. And I've got to go with Jordan Love or Kyler Murray just because they've shown it to us before.
I prefer Daniels over Love.
That's a fair argument. I would rather have the bird in the hand than the bird in the bush. Do I think Jay Daniels is going to hit? Yes, but I will take kind of the confirmation of the Packers quarterback that just threw for over 4,000 yards.
But the bird in the bush is a very mobile quarterback.
It is.
You're essentially getting skinny Anthony Richardson, so I think that's a good thing.
That's true.
So let's think about this for a second. Okay, so you're in a draft room. You're on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
You're the last team to draft a quarterback. How far do you push it before you start getting worried that teams are going to draft their second quarterback?
This is superflex?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, in a single quarterback league, the nice thing about not drafting a quarterback, waiting for all 11 of your league mates to draft a quarterback, is then you can push it. But, if Daniels is still out there, I'm not taking a chance. He's that one guy where I'm not taking a chance. If it was Love, then I would just push it. But the upside of Daniels is such that I wouldn't push it because someone is always lurking out there to take a second quarterback earlier than you're even mentally prepared for that to happen. And then you don't get your guy. That happens to me. And then what are you giving up? You're giving up some sleeper receiver or running back? No, man. Just even if you're team number 12 and you're lucky enough to get Jaden Daniels, just push the button. Just do it. Get it over with. Don't risk it. You can't. Yeah. I have in expert leagues at the FSGA and at the FF Expo and the Scott Fish Bowl. I think I have like 60%. I have like 5 of these expert leagues. I think 3 of those teams I have Jaden Daniels. So that was all you needed was a reminder that, hey, this guy is going to run wild this year. Get ready for it and just enjoy it. That's That's what it's all about. So let's talk more about Wake and Take. You are the host of Wake and Take on the Player Profiler Network. You've been doing a great job. A daily show. Okay. I used to do the Mind of Mansion daily. So for the first couple of years, it was a daily podcast. It was like a 35-minute podcast. I do it every day for like 2 years to get my reps in. And it really helped me grow as a broadcaster, as an analyst. I was able to think faster. I was better as a guest on other podcasts because of it. So, it was a real valuable experience doing that. And I'm so proud of you for leaning into that and realizing that this is an opportunity to develop. And I think that your whole presentation has really improved over the last couple of years. And so I'm super proud of you. And now, we've rolled out this Player Profiler News channel. And so if you can, go to YouTube and go subscribe to Player Profiler News. And there we're showing more like daily shows. Player Profiler Today, the evening show, Wake and Take is on in the morning. And then we have a lot more of these news blurbs, news shorts that are coming out. Because we had to make a strategic decision as a company. Do we want to go down the road of DFS and betting, or do we want to lean into football?
Yeah.
And what we've decided to do is lean into football. And, talking to listeners, talking to you all in the chat, at conferences, at events like this FF Expo that I just got back from, you want more content that is actionable for seasonal leagues, high-stakes leagues, best ball, and Dynasty, and that's what we're going to provide. Everything from, the 32 Beat Writers, their new show on the network, check that out, all the way through to the sicko diehard Dynasty shows that we have, as well as like even shows like Futurecast and Blue Chips, which talk about the upcoming class, because soon enough we're going to be talking about the 2025 class, which is just right. It's just crazy. It's just that conversation will be happening very soon, and so that's the direction that we're going. And we got small ball with the news blurbs, the news on Player Profiler, playerprofiler.com/news, the news channel, and these 20-minute shows that we do daily, and then all the way through to a 2-hour Dynasty podcast. That's our range. That's our range of content at Player Profiler, and that's why you're not going to be seeing DFS shows and betting shows this year, because we've decided with Bradley and yourself really leaning into the actionable information from just a short and quick news item that, Player X has been activated from the NFI list or whatever it is, all the way through that Player Y has just suffered a torn ACL. His season's over. What does this mean for Dynasty? What does this mean for seasonal leagues? What does this mean for best ball? What does this mean for everything? So, how are you enjoying being this sort of, front and center, representative of Player Profiler News and everything we're doing there?
Yeah, it's honestly kind of shocking, starting here a little over 2 years ago, just writing some articles, and then to now be where I'm at. I mean, I'm just very thankful to you and this company for continuously giving me opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And it's not just me. There's just so many people here across Player Profiler that can say that same thing. And it's just so rare to be able to see that across any industry. But especially here in fantasy football, it seems like a lot of things just cycle the same people over and over and over. So it's humbling, to say the least. And I'm very thankful to have this opportunity. It just feels great. I mean, I love being able to every morning wake up, and the first thing I do, just scroll football news, figure out what the hell everyone in this audience needs to know about, and come up with some takes for it. Turn on my camera and go talk for 30 minutes to sometimes 2 hours. I had an hour, 45-minute episode a couple weeks ago because I just couldn't stop, because there's so much going on around training camp and stuff. But it's really great. I love the opportunity. I love the news desk. There's some great people over there doing some fantastic work. And I love the audience too that tune in every single day to
Dude, you're getting like 1,000 views a show now.
I know, it's insane.
When you started, you were getting like 70.
Yes, exactly. Which, by the way, is what, if I released a video tomorrow on DFS or betting, is exactly what it would get. Which is why we made that pivot. But it's just incredible. It really is. I mean, I see a lot of people in this chat right now that tune in Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, to watch Wake and Take, care about what I have to say. Just a dude in my room north of Atlanta talking about football. It's really
but your way of analyzing and your instincts, and that you're so on top of what's going on around the league. Your takes are good, man. Like, you have a great process and a good perspective that is different than mine and different from Theo's, and it's very valuable. That's what we want. We want to have all these different perspectives, like I said, from the shortest form, the 32 beat writers, through the longest form, like the FF Dynasty guys, and then everything in between. So you're killing it, man. What I love about you is you know how to say yes. You just say yes. You just say yes. So if I'm like, hey, we gotta get this thing going. Can you help? And you're like, yes. And I'm like, can you help with over here? And you're like, yes, right? And then what I've found with Player Profiler is that even when I have some big challenging project, I reach out to members of this audience, to just my friends and colleagues, and I ask for help. I'm like, hey, does anyone want to chip in with this, with the draft kit? I mean, the draft kit was such a daunting project initially. The world famous draft kit is live. It is world famous, as per the name, and it's really something that Theo has leaned into in an incredible way. And we have more cheat sheets now. We have Bradley's cheat sheet. We have Billy's personal cheat sheet. We have Dario's personal cheat sheet. So, and we were drafting at the FF Expo based on the draft kit.
Nice.
And I was like, man, we got Debo really high. And Theo's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we need to take him quite this high, but we'll see what happens. And it turns out, we are standing where the puck is. Right, the puck was passed over there, and we didn't have to skate to it. People say, "Oh, skate to where the puck's going to be." We're already there. It was so many of these rankings, like, we're already there. With the FF. When I was looking at it, and I was like, "Wow, the FFPC ADP," because we put the FFPC ADP right there on the season rankings. So if you go to the season rankings, you can see the FFPC ADP is right there, and you can see the expert drafts catching up to our rankings constantly. It's cool.
It is.
Super, yeah. I was like, oh, I was like, hey. Now I was like, whoa, there's a couple guys where they've caught us. Mm-hmm. We're on par. The ADP is the same as our ranking, and I'm like, that wasn't like that a month ago. They've caught us. Do we want to get even? Are we going to get even more bullish on this guy? We're like, no, I think we're good. This is where we should. We feel pretty comfortable where we should be. We're good, right? We're good on like a bunch of wide receivers. We're going to see Brian Thomas, Xavier Worthy, right? These guys have incredible upside, and it's funny because we rolled out Fast Draft, and at the FF Expo, I had people coming up to me because I was drafting and I was hanging out with everybody, and they were like, "Look at you, dude! Look at you! You still going to be drafting? You still going to be podcasting? Now that the Fast Draft app is out there and it's live and everything." And I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm doing Fast Draft so that I never have to have a real job. That's what I'm doing. I always want a podcast." Yes. And I had this whole come to Jesus moment, where I thought eventually I would sort of retire the podcast. I was like, Seinfeld, Friends, these shows when I was growing up, even the most successful, they after 9 or 10 seasons, they decided to wrap it up. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't think I need to wrap it up. I don't want to wrap it up. And as long as the audience continues to tune in like they are, then I don't need to. Why would I? I'm not. I love doing this. This is why. And so I talk to people, and they're like, "So, a podcaster and, obnoxious tweeter rolled out one of the great fantasy apps of all time, and he's just going to keep podcasting and keep tweeting, and keep showing up on my TikTok feed. And I'm like, yeah, because this is what I love doing. I love drafting. I'm going to keep going to these expert drafts and, jumping on with Jeff Radcliffe on Sirius and talking about my draft, just because, other CEOs don't do this, right? When you go to the FSGA, there's a lot of like CEOs and business talks and conversations, and a lot of them are not doing this anymore.
No.
Right? They don't have shows anymore. But there's this one guy, Rick Wolf, who for a long time, even once he was like a corporate executive, kept doing this show at 11 o'clock on Sirius XM Fantasy called Colton and the Wolfman. And I'm like, dude, Rick Wolf never gave up his show. Mm-hmm. And I don't need to give up the show. I'm not going to. I'm not going to give up drafting. Rick Wolf is in these drafts. Rick Wolf is on Sirius talking football. This is what I want to do. At no point when I was thinking about what I want to be when I grow up was, I want to be able to talk football and fantasy football as a career, and then I'm going to stop. Why would you stop? I was looking around at Theo. I was like, why would anyone at the expo? I was like, why would anyone not do this? Because I looked over and next to us in our exhibit hall was Joe Bryant from Football Guys. And I was like, that's the guy. Joe Bryant, Rick Wolf. These are the guys that I look up to. These are the guys I want to be like when I grow up, that are enjoying just talking to fantasy gamers, that are walking up and enjoy talking about what they're doing at Football Guys, or just enjoy breaking down situations for fantasy football on Sirius XM. There's no reason. I can, as long as I'm super efficient with all my other responsibilities, right? As long as my metrics are good, my executive metrics are good, then I can keep doing the show. There's no problem. Yeah. So don't worry, everybody, because I get once in a while people email me, podfather@rotounderworld.com. I saw Fast Draft launch. This is a bad sign. How much longer are you going to keep doing the podcast? And I'm like, why is this a concern? Did you think the podcast was a means to an end? This whole time, I don't actually like doing it. It's just been, I'm trying to build this up so I can launch Fast Draft. You thought this was my master plan? No. What?
No, you built Fast Draft because you love fantasy football. You want to have a more efficient way to play fantasy football. You want to have a fast way to play fantasy football. And you want to, put a little wrinkle in the game. It's not because you want to get out. It's you want to be even more in.
And the beauty is once people start drafting more, we get 600 people sign up, like basically 100 people a day. Because it's been live for like 6 days. And so it's amazing. And so the numbers are strong, and the beauty is I have all these Fast Draft takes about strategy that I think is like what I would do if I could play Fast Draft, what I would do, right? And now that we have drafts happening, and I can now I can start to share. Okay, this is what you got to do. You got to really pay attention to ownership, for example. So in the Flex 4 game, we just draft. You draft actually 6 non-quarterbacks, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and it's start 4, right? So every week the best 4 enter your lineup, and it's very simple. And so it's a 60 player pool. So you're drafting out to say Ladd McConkey, right?
Yes, exactly.
But we show in the draft room, which is what no other platforms had done to my knowledge. We show the ownership for the tournament. So you can see, okay, Brian Thomas is whatever he is, 4% owned. That's the way to get leverage on the field in the 6th round. It's not to just take the top ADP guy. The last thing you want to do in the 6th round is take the top ADP guy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
right? I would be shooting for a Corum, a Brian Thomas, even a guy I don't even like. Like, I'm not a big Keon Coleman fan, but if I were playing on Fast Draft in the Flex 4 tournament, I would absolutely have some Keon Coleman just based on ownership. It's a lot easier to get unique when you go Coleman or Brian Thomas in round 6 than if you were to just go the chalk ADP guy in round 6. So that would be one strategy point. And then the other strategy point would be with the Origins tournament, the all-rookie tournament.
Yep.
With that one, and this is actually not mine, and I don't remember exactly who brought this up to me, but someone who's playing and also a listener emailed me and was like, "Hey, by the way, I just want to let you know I think I have a winning strategy for this game." And I'm like, "Well, fuck, tell me, man." Imagine my feeling, right? For 10 years, I get emails all the time with people giving me their takes. Right? They give me their takes for DraftKings. They give me their take for ESPN, Underdog, you name it, FFPC. They give me their strategy. Hey, where do I take a tight end in the FFPC? Or here's why I think these types of stacks are the best on Underdog, or whatever it is. And, and I always reply to these people, right? I always reply to anyone that's going to take the time to reach out to me and share thoughts with me about fantasy football, because for the first few years I started doing this, I would have done anything to be starting to receive inbound emails with people talking to me about fantasy football. Like, I was dreaming about that. So the idea that, like, now I would not reply or not read those emails, to me is ludicrous. Like, it's so wrong, but yet so many people have that assumption that that's my new mode of operating. I'm like, no. Or they're surprised when I reply, and I'm like, why are you surprised? This is a great email. This is interesting. I'm actually getting a lot out. And then, so the strategy was, in the rookie game, you should go in round 5 and 6, because it's a 6-round draft with a rookie game as well. You should go tight end, because you're not trying to hit a home run. You're just trying to get guys that are going to start. And in those weeks where you don't have enough players that are scoring points with buys, injuries, just having some tight end score 8 points that you drafted in round 5 or 6 over the course of a season, that's going to make a big difference. So while tight ends don't have any kind of set position, so they have to score fantasy points on par with the other positions. There's no advantage that tight ends have. They don't have a dedicated position. So the one thing is that there are going to be some tight ends, like an Eric All, for example, who is scoring fantasy points. And when you look at all the rookies that score fantasy points in any given week, there's going to be a handful of these fringy tight ends that end up posting those 4, 5, 6 fantasy points, and those could end up making the difference in a season-long total points format. And what was cool was, this was a complete stranger to me. They'd just been listening to the show. They stumbled upon the app. They read the rules and synthesized those rules and was like, I got it. I'm going Eric All. I'm going Theo Johnson. These are going to be my 5th and 6th round picks. And I was like, well, damn, that's cool. That's good. And the fact that you're giving me takes on strategy on a platform that I helped design is just so fucking tingly, man.
I can only imagine. You have had your hands in so many things here at Player Profiler and Fast Draft, but to especially Fast Draft has just been your baby. And Frank, of course, shout out Frank. I don't know if he's listening. I don't think he listens. But shout out him for all the... You think Frank listens?
Maybe.
Maybe. But either way, just all the work that you guys have put into it to like actually see it now be out. And then to get some positive feedback, much less some strategy as well. Like, people are really thinking at a high level about this. That's just got to make you feel all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, and it's I love the comments, right? First 10 minutes of this show is just this bro fest. Why don't you guys every first 10 minutes of the show is you guys just bro out, right? Well, here's the thing, guys. That's oftentimes that is what the show is, because we just turn the cameras on and the mics on, and I got friends all around the industry that I haven't talked to in 6 months, and this is the first time we're getting together, so we're gonna bro it out. We're going to bro it out, man. And I talk to Jason almost every day, and we're still going to bro it out. This time we're broing it out with 30 minutes of bro out time.
It's
right?
been a good bro out.
That's what you get. They should see the commenters need to learn their lesson that you need to stay positive. Because if you try to criticize, all we're going to do is double down. So last time there was a 15 minutes of bro out, and there were a few people crying in the chat about it. And so what does that accomplish? Now you get 30 minutes. Okay, so again, please complain about the bro outs to begin the show, and then next week it's going to be 45 minutes.
Honestly,
keep it up.
One day this will just turn into the Joe Rogan show. There'll be no football. It'll just be simply talking.
No, but I just promised everybody. No, I just promised. No, don't say that. Don't say that. No, we need to talk football. We're going to talk football.
We do.
There's been a bunch of injuries. So let me just get this straight. So we talked about J.J. McCarthy. Hollywood Brown, he's going to miss a couple weeks at least. Mm-hmm. Tyrone Tracy, non-contact injury, but week to week, which means month to month. Mm-hmm. So everybody knows week to week is month to month. It is Eric Gray season. That is what it is.
Or Dante Miller. You familiar with the Dante Miller?
What?
So he's just started making some noise at camp just a couple weeks ago. Undrafted free agent rookie, but unfair.
Making noise like weird sound effects or like
he runs
like fart noises or something?
No, he's just really quick. He runs a 4.27. He's 6 foot. 5'9", 200 pounds. Runs a 4.27. Undrafted.
That's like 100th percentile speed score.
Yes, yeah. So here's the story with Dante Miller. He's an undrafted free agent rookie running back right now, but unfair. Actually, last year he was supposed to be eligible for the NFL draft, but the NCAA never informed him. So he actually transferred to South Carolina to play football, went to a couple practices, and then they came up to him after the NFL draft and was like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. You're not eligible. You have to wait till next year to enter the NFL draft, and you can't play college football anymore. So he's just been in limbo for a year. Ends up now as an undrafted free agent here in New York.
Whoa! Isn't that what the supplemental draft is for?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just like the timing of it or something was weird. So he ends up now declaring for the draft this year. But 4.27 at 200 pounds, making some catches. And actually in the preseason game he just played last week, 12 carries for 63 yards and 2 receptions.
Oh, my.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but he does count as a rookie.
Yes.
So this is in the Origins rookie game, in the rookie tournament, right? The rookie tournament. I mean, there's never been a tournament where you just draft rookies and first place gets $5,000. Like that's never been a thing until Fast Draft. So okay, so I guess we'll have to amend my strategy. I'm not saying you have to always draft tight ends in round 5 and 6 because there's also these running backs, right?
Yes.
And I respect these Blake Watson picks. Like Jawar, Jordan, I agree with all that. That's what you do to get upside in round 5 and 6 of a rookie draft. Those running like the upside running backs, things break their way. They can go nuclear just for a couple weeks. That's all you need. Or you get the steady Eddie tight ends. Mm-hmm. I think that's the move. What I don't like to do is these deep wide receiver dart throws that never work out. I mean, never. Never, ever. So, what about Marshawn Lloyd? Marshawn Lloyd, hamstring injury. Apparently he's fine. These hamstring injuries, because we're 3+ weeks away, most hamstring injuries cost guys 1 or 2 games. Of course, their coaches are going to come out and say he's fine. Gibbs is fine, right? No problem. All right, Marshawn Lloyd. But Marshawn Lloyd, the problem is you miss reps as a rookie.
Yeah.
You're going to be way behind. And the history of rookies that miss significant portions of training camp that deliver and produce as rookies, especially when drafted in day 3, is vanishingly small.
Yeah. And one thing that's kind of making me concerned about this is, yeah, sure, it's a camp string injury. Like everyone picks it up. They haven't been at football speed. But he
Is
had
that
an
a word you
interview.
just made? Did you just make that up?
Someone in the chat, Fantasy Plumber, he coined it in a Wake and Take chat, and I love it. A camp string injury. I think it's perfect.
Fantasy Plumber. I see him in the chat right now. Fantasy Plumber's here.
Shout out the plumber.
There he is. Term. Oh, it's just a single emoji. Just a smiling emoji. I don't know, what is that? Smiling with your eyes closed or something?
Kind of like a laughing emoji.
It's a laughing, smiling.
But
he's always in the chat. Love him. And thank you to Liv. Living it up. Liv is actually. I don't know whether Liv. We're gonna just say is a aspiring producer, because
awesome.
I think Tyler wanted to be in the chat, couldn't be in the chat at the moment, unless he is in the chat and he's hiding. So make yourself known, Tyler, our fearless producer. Sometimes he just can't join the chat. Liv is taking his place. I appreciate Liv very much. Says, don't forget to smash the like button. Right? Don't forget to smash the like button. See that because you're on YouTube every day, you know this. Like, you're pre-programmed. Like, you know to remind people to smash the like button. Remind people to subscribe to the show. It helps get it to more people, right? It helps with the reach of the show. If you appreciate us, you know we would love to get in front of more people, new people, and then that means new people in the chat. So that's the incentive. The incentive is, if you like the banter in the chat, and the banter in the chat is amazing, because what I love is when they go and they start talking about players we're not talking about, and then I get confused because I'm wanting to share the chats on the screen because I think it's fun, and then there's some funny stuff that they say, or there's some interesting takes, but then I'm like, that's a player we're not even talking about. I don't know how that devolved into that conversation, but it's not relevant right now, and so I can't share it, damn it. But it's still fun to see that there's a whole sidebar conversation on YouTube live. And so it's good that Liv is reminding us that the likes and the subscribes, because I always forget. Like, the show is over, and Tyler's like, man, I should have reminded you to say like. And I was like, yeah, I know you should have, because I'll never think of this, man. I'm in my 40s. I'm a grown man. I'm on the backside of my life, man. Like, I was not brought up with YouTube. I was brought up with a cathode ray tube television. That's what I was brought up with. And I actually am old enough to remember when you actually had to get up off the couch and manually flip the dial of the television to another channel.
Wow.
I predate. This is how dusty and crusty I am. I predate remote controls.
See, the only time I've ever used the TV is when I'm too lazy to find the remote. I'm just like, you know what? I'll just go press channel up or change the input on the TV. But I at least have a remote somewhere. Just can't locate it right now.
Right, and now all I do is cast. I don't even use use the streaming services, built in to the TV or anything. I'm always just casting. I'm always just like, I don't know how to do any of this. I don't even know how this TV works. All I know is I'd hit the cast button from whatever I'm watching and leave me alone. Everyone leave me alone. So that any other injuries that we need to be monitoring?
Not really. I think Malik Neighbors picked up something, but they've said like a little ankle sprain too. But he'll be fine.
No, he didn't.
But I guess just injured. My only. No, he's not. He's fine.
He's not.
Malik
injured.
Neighbors is fine. Just don't worry about it. We're good. We're
not
good.
Injured. Not injured. He's not injured. He's fine. He's fine. This is the bias. Coach comes out and says Marshawn Lloyd's going to be fine for the season. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, no, he's actually going to be behind, and he's not going to produce, and you need to start firing up A.J. Dillon, right? Malik Neighbors, right? Tweaks an ankle. Coach says he's going to be fine. I'm like, yep, going to be fine.
Yep, you'll be good.
Going to be fine. Got him. Most rostered player in all of fantasy for me. Going to outproduce Marvin Harrison. You're damn right he's going to be fine. You're damn right he's going to be fine. And we got him. We got him in the the FF Expo. The auction was long, right? So we were in 2 Kings Classic drafts. I was drafting with Theo, and we were drafting at the 101. It was a Kentucky Derby, so we got to pick our draft slot. We had the 7th pick. Can you guess what draft slot I got?
Give me the 101. Say no. Everyone was scared. Everyone was scared. You got that first pick.
Yeah. Everyone was picking non-101 picks.
Yeah.
Someone actually asked for the 107 over the 101. And then I went to Theo. I was like, is this 3rd round reversal or something? And he's like, no. And I was like, do they know that? Wait, what? You get, I mean, if it's a 12-team league, you get 3 top 25 picks with a 101. Yeah. That's the best way to think about it. You want to be deciding on your draft slot. The 101 gets 3 top 25 picks. This was a 14-teamer, so we got 3 top 30 picks.
Incredible.
Right? And we ended up starting Lamb, Waddle, and Debo. Right? Because like I said, we were way ahead on Debo, and I was like, according to our rankings, Debo's going to be long gone. But Theo was like, yeah, but these people don't use our rankings. Not all of them use our rankings. Some of them are using other rankings. And I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens. Boom, we got him. Right? And then the next thing I know, there's news that Brandon Ayuk is headed to Pittsburgh, that the deal is done, the terms have already been negotiated, that there's just a Hail Mary chance that San Francisco can match or actually has to exceed the contract offer because he would rather be in Pittsburgh, but now someone else is saying, no, he'd rather be in San Francisco. Anyway, the news comes out, and it's like, whoa. I think that Debo pick was looking pretty prescient. But you couldn't get Neighbors. Neighbors went in the 2nd round. So where we were drafting, in order to get Neighbors, we would have had to take Neighbors over Lamb. Okay, so we're not getting... Okay, if the choice is Lamb or Neighbors, I want Lamb! Right? Now, I think the top 3 target earners this year are going to be Lamb, Amon-Ra, and Neighbors, but he wasn't available. Waddle was available. I can tell you the one player from my time at the FF Expo who the most people that I respect were super high on when I asked people, hey, who do you like this year? Who you drafting this year? More people that I really respect, Fantasy Mojo, guys like that, Waddle. Ryan McDowell, JJ Zacharyson, Rich Rebar. I can't say that they all love. I can't remember exactly who they all said that they love, but there was a very high percentage of people that love Waddle this year. And so I felt really good about that. But the beauty is that the next draft was an auction draft. And while auctions can be tedious, it's a very polarizing format, it allows you to make sure you get your guy. So we were going to get Neighbors. Right? We got him for a good price. Right? We post up the auction values in the cheat sheet, in the draft kit, and on our rankings. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, wow, we got, we got a little value there on Neighbors. And then we did it again with Pittman and a bunch of other guys. We had we got values. We feel good about it. I'm going to share at fantasy_mansion and on the player profiler Discord. I'll share our rosters there. I'll let people know how we did. I'll just in the Kings Classic from that 101, we went CeeDee Lamb, Debo, Waddle. So that was and then I think because it's a 14-teamer, and the target earners are at such a premium in that format, we ended up. You may not believe this, and this may be one of the first times you'll see this, because it was pick 56 in a 14-teamer. We went Deontay Johnson in the 4th round. Remember Deontay Johnson was going 4th round last year? Yeah. He's back. He's back in the 4th round. And then we went Kenneth Walker. Then at the 6-7 turn, we took Worthy and Njoku. At the 8-9 turn, this was tough. This was a negotiation. If any of you have drafted with a partner, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
This was a negotiation. So I went to Theo and I was like, who do you really want? He's like, Bowers. We got to go Bowers here.
So Theo.
right? Goddard was gone already. Ferguson and Njoku was gone. He's like, we're going to go bully mid-round tight end. And I was like, I've never heard of that strategy, but I'm in. Right? Because in a 14-teamer, if you take, let's see, 2 top 15 tight ends, now you're starving others of tight end production. So there's some strategy there. It was pretty cool. So I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm in on Bowers. But the other pick at the turn, we got to go Corum. And he was like, it's too early for Corum. I was like, it's not too early. We're not going to get Corum. I got to go Corum. This is it. This is where we got to get Corum. So he's like, okay. So it was a total negotiation. But the thing is, you're drafting in person next to other people. So I had like a piece of paper over my face.
Like a head coach on the sideline.
I was like an offensive coordinator going, hey, we could get Bowers, but you got to let me have Corum. You know, and everyone's like, what is he doing over there? And then, so that was, you know, we ended up with Pearsall, and our final pick was Jennings, because again, Billy was ahead of the game on this. Billy was insistent that we adjust projections to move up Debo and all these San Francisco receivers. Like, we're as high on Kittle as anyone you'll see. And now the news is coming out slowly. It's like, okay, the probability that Ayuk gets traded keeps going up and up and up. And guys like Juwan Jennings and Pearsall. I mean, Juwan Jennings, think about the position he's in. Mm-hmm. Right, as the potential number 2. All that has to happen is Pearsall underwhelms. The Pearsall runs the wrong route. He misses an assignment. He misses a block. He drops a couple passes. Mm-hmm. Then it's going to be Juwan Jennings, the number 2 wide receiver on one of the best offenses in the league, with a pocket passer, an accurate pocket pass. What? How do you not want an accurate pocket passer tethered to whoever it is?
Yeah.
Right? Against all those defenses, against the Rams, against the Cardinals, against the Seahawks every week. It doesn't matter. Juwan Jennings is a guy, but there's no better situation for a fringe receiver right now in terms of contingent upside in the 16th round. The last pick, he was pick number 224. And everyone was wrapping up. Everyone was putting their stuff away. And we were on the clock, and I go, Juwan Jennings. And I was like, this is why we have Theo. This is why we have Billy on the team, because I would never have thought of that. I would never thought of that. But now I'm like, okay. And then Theo, his guy, in the final rounds, he's like, no matter what, we got to get Jordan Mason. So we took Jordan Mason 3 rounds ahead of where he should go. He was like, if there's one handcuff, if there's one contingent upside play we need, it is Jordan Mason. And I was like, okay. He's like, last time I checked, Elijah Mitchell's hurt. Last time I checked, Christian McCaff injury is hurt. So, and the coaches, the only one, whenever there's a guy that he's the guy all the coaches want to talk about, no matter what his metrics look like, you draft him. Right? Coaches want to talk about D'Ernest Johnson a couple of years ago, draft him.
Yeah.
Right? Coaches want to talk about Jordan Mason, draft him. Right? So that was that team. And then with the auction, thankfully we were able to get neighbors, so I could have some neighbors. That was cool. Oh, we did wait on quarterback a long, long time. We decided to be the last to draft a quarterback. Trevor Lawrence in round 12. Pick 168 for Trevor Lawrence.
It's ridiculous. I
don't even like Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
But, I don't hate players. I hate ADPs. And I love that ADP.
Yeah.
I don't love Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I don't understand it. That's been one of the ones I've been kind of waiting for in my single QB drafts for sure. Him, Herbert, Goff. They're fine. You can
they
build
paid
a team
him.
around that. Yeah.
So there's at least a whole set of football people in Jacksonville that are looking at these fantasy drafts going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. All the weapons, they just upgrade the offensive line. They spent a first-round draft pick on Brian Thomas Jr. Christian Kirk healthy again. Evan Ingram been exploding. Travis Etienne, another year removed from his injury, going to help him out too. I mean, I don't know what else you want really in a quarterback. at least in that range. Like it's
Jared
awesome.
Goff went before him. Tua went before him. Purdy went before him. Caleb Williams went before him. He's a very similar skill set to Caleb Williams, except he's bigger and much more experienced.
Yeah.
So, what? Right, like the line there is Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Jaden Daniels for all that rushing upside.
Yeah.
But I don't see the same kind of rushing upside from Caleb Williams because Trevor Lawrence also has rushing upside.
He does.
Are you sure Caleb Williams is going to run for more yards than Trevor Lawrence?
No. And if it is, it's because that offensive line is terrible and he has to. But even then, that's probably not going to be very successful at the end of the day. No, there's no guarantees.
And the other thing was cool is I was like, wow, we really have ETN ranked high, right? I was a little bit jarred by where we have ETN. And then, he's going that high. Like experts that know what they're doing in these drafts, they're picking ETN at like pick 21, pick 18, pick 19. I'm like, okay. Turns out we really know what we're doing. Derrick Henry, Pacheco, we've been ahead of on Pacheco. Everyone's caught up to us with Pacheco. So, we'll see who the next one is where we're way ahead and everything starts catching up. It's fun to just monitor on Player Profiler to go to that ADP tab and see the ADP movement and seeing especially the FFPC because those are the sharpest drafters draft there. Like see them catch up. It's super validating. So what do you think? What do you think the probability though is on IU going to be a Steeler?
I'm still putting it at a coin flip at best. I still can't wrap my head around it. The 49ers, they're in the Super Bowl window. They have $52 million in cap space. Ricky Pearsall is not half the receiver Brandon Ayuk is. Even Jacob Cowing isn't half the wide receiver Brandon Ayuk is. We saw Debo struggle in the playoffs last year in separation. There is no reason for them to move on from Brandon Ayuk if they want to win this Super Bowl. And so I really I don't see it happening. Like I have a very hard time wrapping around any positive reason for this to happen on the San Francisco 49ers side, especially with one report even coming out. Now, of course, these are reports. So how much how much weight can you actually put into this thing? But some are saying that there's not even a first round pick coming from the Steelers to the 49ers in this trade for Ayuk. So then what are they getting? Like, what is the goal here? Because Ricky Pearsall, he struggled at Florida. Sure, he can make some nice catches. He has that one highlight that everyone that got excited about. And then what? Debo.
Per Ian Rappaport, J.J. McCarthy is done for the season. He had the full meniscus repair, which Billy Muzio just had, by the way, and Billy Muzio is still rehabbing many months later. It's a difficult surgery to rehab, and you might as well just cross off McCarthy for this year. They ruled him out for the season.
Buy J.J. McCarthy. That's what I'll say.
Buy J.J. McCarthy in Dynasty, Superflex.
Yes.
Fire up those trade offers right now in Superflex and 2QB Dynasty leagues. Where does Justin Jefferson's ADP shake out because of this?
I mean, I feel like the quarterback uncertainty was already priced in, so he might officially drop below Amon-Ra. Like, there was obviously the kind of back and forth a lot between the two. I would say he officially drops there, but I just can't see Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown passing Justin Jefferson. I just can't see it. Because even last year, I think he averaged like 22 points a game with their backup quarterbacks in Minnesota. Like, he's still going to get a ton of volume, especially while T.J. Hawkinson is sidelined. And Sam Darnold can at least throw the ball to one guy. The jury's still out on him actually being a good quarterback, but he can force feed one person. So I think Justin Jefferson should at least still get some volume. He's still
the Tom Savage corollary.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Like,
it'll
be
Savage
fine.
Corollary. Deshaun Watson goes down for half the season. DeAndre Hopkins has the same fantasy points per game, the exact same fantasy points per game. Splits, first half versus second half. The target volume inflates with Tom Savage. The accuracy crashes, doesn't matter because of all the targets. And that's what's going to happen with Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson is going to end up being a value in the middle of that first round because I think he's going to start to go consistently behind Jamar Chase, and I'm fine with that. I love having an extra choice for an elite wide receiver in the late first round. Love it.
Yeah, it's also he'll have 20 target games this year. Like, go ahead and book that. He will have 20 target games, and you want that. You want that on your team, no matter who the quarterback is. So I'm still going to be drafting Justin Jefferson, even if it is Sam Darnold.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good for Jordan Addison because
No.
The theory of the case was that by the second half, J.J. McCarthy would start to really be figuring it out and distributing the ball like he did at Michigan, and that would be great for Addison. But now there's no chance that he's going to have a starting caliber quality quarterback. And whoever's back there, whether it's Jared Hall, doesn't matter who it is, they're going to lock in on Jefferson. So this is not great. This is not great for Hawkinson. It's not great for Addison. I think that it's a push with the running back targets because you're going to get a little more checkdowns.
Yeah.
From backup quarterback X, and it's a push for Jefferson.
Yeah, I think it's a fine way to put it. It's disappointing. I'm a Michigan fan. I really like J.J. McCarthy. I was very, very excited for his rookie season. He looked pretty damn good in the preseason as well.
He did. That's the crime of it. The crime of it is that he looked good. I was like, okay, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, and this FSGA best ball draft, I had a choice between McCarthy, because I was the last guy to get a quarterback, my second quarterback, and a few were taking three quarterbacks, which even further fucked me.
Mm-hmm.
So as it turned out, it was down to the choice between Aiden O'Connell and J.J. McCarthy, and that decision point may be the thing that buries me. And speaking of decision point, we have a decision point scheduled. We're going to be live with Anna Ninduri on Friday.
Nice.
So Friday around lunchtime, look for us, the YouTube channel, on the decision point. And wow, God damn it.
It sucks.
It just sucks. He could come back in October, and it's good for Sam Darnold to get those early games out of the way, and let McCarthy learn behind him. And this is just not cool. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to put McCarthy on the block in Dynasty.
Definitely.
This is fine. This is fine. Yeah. I don't know what the history is of quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks with knee injuries, missing their whole. I'm sure there's going to be someone that does the full analysis of the history of rookie quarterbacks that missed their first year and didn't take a rep because of injury. My guess is it's not great.
Absolutely not.
Welcome to the Mind of Mansion program. The head of social media and the host of the Wake and Take program at Player Profiler. This is a rising star in the fantasy football business. My good friend is here with me today. It is Jason Allwine.
Oh, man. Best intro in the game. Seriously. I don't know how you do it. I do my good mornings or whatever, but that's just... Does your throat hurt? Does it hurt a little for like a little bit? You're good?
I'm built for this, Jason.
I love it. So happy to be here. That intro every time just fires you up.
Feels good.
We've been going already for what, an hour? An hour pre-show? That's got to be a record. Maybe.
You'd be surprised.
That's fair.
You'd be surprised. I think Nate and I probably had some hour-plus pre-shows.
Okay, that's fair.
With the Sonic Truth. You'd be anytime anyone asks about length,
yeah,
they're always surprised.
That's fair. I mean, it's the Hogfather we're talking about. Oh, come on. That was good.
You're not hearing it. You don't have your earbuds in.
Oh.
Didn't you hear the sound effect?
No, I didn't hear the sound effect.
The boing boing sound effect's not coming through?
Okay. I didn't hear it, but I'm going to
imagine. You didn't hear that?
No, but I like it.
You're not hearing that?
I'm not.
I think that the chat can hear it. Yeah, there's the boing boing sound effect there. I swear to God.
I'll take it.
I wasn't deadpanning you at all. That was a boing boing sound effect. Okay, right? Good. That was a clear and obvious time for a boing boing sound effect, and I delivered. I deliver when it's the clear right time.
Let's go.
Let's jump in and talk about rookies.
Okay.
Because we have Marshawn Lloyd injured, Tyrone Tracy injured. The Tyrone Tracy injury is more serious than the Marshawn Lloyd injury. None of them are as serious as the J.J. McCarthy injury, out for the year. Mm-hmm. Who is the under-the-radar rookie who you think is going to make an impact this season that not enough people know about?
Okay, so there's one. I'm just going to throw out a name because the chat is ready to hear it. Dallas, rookie wide receiver from the 6th round, Ryan Flournoy. I'll leave it at that. I want you guys to keep him on your radar, but someone that can break out early, because Ryan Flournoy, it's looking like it's going to take an injury or something to happen before he truly cracks that roster, or at least the starting roster. There's someone, though, that was drafted in the 4th round this year who runs a 4.36 40, who landed in an incredible offense for his skill set, and his name is Tez Walker. Devontae Walker right now is available super, super late, probably free in a lot of your leagues even, and he is more than likely going to be the deep threat on the Ravens offense. Yes, that's not the greatest thing in the world. It's going to be a spike week dependent type of player. But where you get him, especially in best ball, I think it's important because even last year, Nelson Aguilar in that role had 4 games over 10 points. Lamar Jackson loves his deep threat. Devontae Walker, he's 6'2", 190 pounds, runs the 4.36 40, had a great connection with Drake May in college, has really good burst speed, catch radius, everything. And in fact, when I saw him at the Senior Bowl, was pretty impressive outside of some drop issues. But all of the reports out of camp say he's figured out a lot of the drop issues.
You already figured it out?
It seems like it. Yeah, I've seen some great highlights from him. So I'm very much excited about this player for his role, for his speed. It's someone I'm always attracted to the speedy wide receivers anyway. But the Ravens in particular, they really, really do utilize that position, just a guy to stretch the field. And with Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews kind of taking over the intermediate stuff, there's going to be a ton of opportunity for Tez to sneak through, get some nice games.
And the beauty is now there's a fantasy platform where you can take advantage of rookies.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Rookie knowledge doesn't typically help you if you're in a traditional league with your buddy taking Tez Walker. Okay, that's a wasted pick. Okay, you're better off taking some running back, Jordan Mason, Deneric Prince. Right? Mm-hmm. You're better off just taking a Chuba Hubbard. Any fringe running back is better than a fringe receiver at the end of a draft. Yeah. But there is this new platform called Fast Draft, which has a tournament that's rookie only. $25,000 prize pool, $5,000 to first, where it's just you draft 6 rookies, and every week the top 4 enter your lineup, best ball style. That's it. It's that easy. Mm-hmm. Drafts take about 8 minutes. That's what Fast Draft's all about. There's a Flex 4 game. If you're not Mr. Rookie, that's okay. There's an all flex game too. And there's going to be a lot more games getting rolled out that just are snippety, snippety, snap, baby. Snippety, snippety, snap. It's called Fast Draft for a reason. And I've always wanted a way to take all this rookie knowledge we have and actually apply it and make money. And now you can. Instead of it being just like a theoretical thing where it's like, okay, when my rookie draft happens in 2 months, I'll put a bit of knowledge away for that. Right? No. You can do 150 rookie drafts for money. That's the beauty of Fast Draft. So it's in the App Store now. It went live last week, and it's going to be the new thing. Whatever the new thing is, everyone's been waiting for the new thing, the new fantasy app that's going to come along. This is it. It's here. Yeah. So the wait is over. The wait. It's been years, and the wait is officially over. So let me ask you this.
Okay.
You're in Atlanta. Falcons, right? Exciting offense.
Fair.
Drake London, 1-2 turn wide receiver. I have posited that the Falcons and the Lions are actually strikingly similar teams. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no. They're both definitely these cursed franchises that can turn it around in an instant, and hopefully the Falcons are on this Lions trajectory to where they're in the NFC Championship here shortly. But I do think outside of Goff and Cousins, and maybe arguably,
retread pocket passers,
right? But then like the Falcons don't have an Amon-Ra, the
but
Falcons
isn't that
don't have
what
a
they're
Diggs.
projecting Drake London to be?
But he's not that though. Like he's just not.
He's not. That's exactly right.
He's just not. Like he's not that. He's
not.
a 6'4", 210-pound wide receiver that struggles to separate. Very good in the red zone. Makes some nice catches. But he's not Amon-Ra. He's not. They don't have a J-Mo. They've got Darnell Mooney. But
Darnell Mooney and J-Mo, who would you rather have?
J-Mo.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Would you rather have J-Mo in fantasy or real life or both?
Both.
So if you're the Falcons and you could swap out Mooney for J-Mo, you would?
100%.
Really? Even though one guy's done and the other guy hasn't?
Yes.
And Mooney has sub 4.4 wheels, and we know he's functionally the perfect complement to a London and a Pitts. And Jameson Williams, after 2 years, is still a black box prospect. We have no idea what he's going to do, what he's going to deliver. And yet still, in real life, if you were the GM of the Falcons, you would do that trade.
I would. I mean, Darnell Mooney's getting up to 27 years old. Jameson Williams still on the rookie contract. I know. I'm just saying.
He's 27.
But Jameson Williams, to me, I think showed a lot of growth last year. Not just the 2 touchdown performance in the NFC Championship. I think we can both agree that's kind of fluky, right? Like you can score touchdowns, you can be explosive, whatever. But what I saw, not necessarily off the field, but not in terms of playmaking, was he was a really good run blocker. And I do think that Motor City Dan Campbell loves that shit. On all of the David Montgomery breakaway runs, who do you see running right along with him to pick up that next block? It's Jameson Williams, time and time again. So I think that he really has started to put his head in the game from everything we're hearing from the coaches, from what we saw on the football field, not just as an explosive playmaker, but also as a run blocker. I think he really is focused and wanting to be what he can be, what he was drafted in the first round to be.
His ADP is moving up.
I really do. It is. The ADP is moving up, and I think there's still room to grow.
Okay. You're at the 1-2 turn. We talked about London. There's A.J. Brown. You're going A.J. Brown still, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right, just making sure. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Even a Falcons fan would say that. Now,
yeah, and that's
at the 2-3 turn. The 2-3 turn.
Mm-hmm.
You got Waddle or Neighbors?
Neighbors.
Oh yes.
I'll take the reach.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'll take the reach.
That's tough though. That's tough because I love them both. I like that question because those are my 2 picks. Those are my 2 guys. And so what I'm hoping is, like what happened in the Kings Classic at the FF Expo, is someone takes one of them. In this case, it was Neighbors, just to help me make a decision and not feel like I'm in an impossible position. Or you can always go both. The beauty is that turn pick, you can just go. If you can get both, then that's just, oh my God. That's my favorite 2-3 turns. You can get both. Although in the Kings Classic, Theo and I were able to do Waddle Samuel. And right now, because of the injury to Puka, there's been a big upswing of ADP for Cooper Kupp. And so you have 2 guys that are past the age apex. We know we're going to command a ton of targets. Historically, 2 of the best receivers the last 5 years in the NFL. So who you got? You got Debo or you got Kupp?
Let me preface this by saying Deebo Samuel is my favorite player in the NFL. I love watching that man play football. But that's not what this is about. It's about finding the right value. And I know Cooper Kupp has gained some steam, but that's still who I'm going to go with. This is a guy who literally won that Triple Crown. The best wide receiver season we've ever seen.
Ever.
Went to Cooper Kupp. Ever.
So McCaffrey picks up all these injuries, right? And you know he has some missing segments of seasons.
Yeah.
And yet he's penciled right back into the 101. This happens to Kupp, and now he's the number 2 receiver on his own team.
It's ridiculous.
What?
No.
What? And then the thing is, the Nakua injury bails everybody out. This is the thing that just destroys me when I see this. The injuries that bail people out.
Yeah. I had 39% exposure of Cooper Kupp on Underdog up until a couple weeks ago. I haven't drafted any more since because of the rise and because of the fall of Puka. But man, I was hammering that Cooper Kupp in the 4th, 5th round so often. I'm so sad I don't have that anymore.
Too bad.
But still.
The dream is dead. The dream is over. Now, you like Neighbors over Waddle, understandable, but also it's a debate. The contingent upside on Waddle is as high as anybody.
Yeah.
Now, who you got, Harrison or Neighbors?
And this is where I think we'll differ. I'm not giving up on Marvin Harrison Jr.
What do you mean giving up? Who said you were who's giving up?
I mean, if you just look around the sentiment of the fantasy football space,
drafting Neighbors over Harrison is not giving up on Harrison. It's an acknowledgement of how great Neighbors is.
It's true. It's true. But Marvin Harrison Jr., we have been waiting to be able to draft him. And now he's here and everyone's looking for reasons not to draft him. And the main reason is just being that he skipped the pre-draft process, which is generally the case for the stud players coming out. He's still coming off of back-to-back 1,200 yards.
Generally the case. There's a few guys that have skipped the pre-draft process altogether. Devontae Smith, and at this point I think people are disappointed in what they've gotten from Devontae Smith. There was an idea that Devontae Smith could be a top 5 receiver, that he'd at least be a top 10 guy. He's not elite. He's clearly a high-quality secondary option and a complement to A.J. Brown. But that's not what you think you're getting when you're drafting a wide receiver in the top 10 of the NFL draft. He's not explosive. He wouldn't let anyone know what his weight is, what his height is, anything. He went dark during the pre-draft process, and he was rewarded by being the 10th pick in the draft by the Eagles. And so Harrison sees this, and he's like, okay, we'll do the same thing. You know, we won't even give interviews. I mean, we'll sit for the interview, but we'll just say we're focused on the 2024 season. So it matters. It matters that we don't have any information besides the college production in a super prolific offense.
But that's what we look for in prospects, is a prolific offense and college production. Yes, we add the workout metrics too, but we know the dude can play football. Again, back to back.
I know Devontae Smith can play football. He's a very good football player.
But Devontae Smith was never drafted as high as Marvin Harrison Jr. is in our rookie drafts even. And even with the hype. I mean, the dude was a Heisman winner, and he's still being drafted as a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't even do that, but he has the pedigree on top of incredible production, on top of 95th percentile college dominator, 94th percentile college target share, the A.J. Green best comparable, the Arizona Cardinals landing spot, exactly what we'd want for him. He could break Puka Nakua's rookie record this year, and I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, you look at it. You take Kyler Murray's best season, 550 pass attempts, 4,000 passing yards in 2020. You give Marvin Harrison Jr. 30% of that. That's 165 targets and 1,200 receiving yards minimum, right? That's pretty incredible to me. On that good of an offense, in a shootout division, I want Marvin Harrison Jr.
It's not like Kyler Murray is this pinpoint passer. He's really not, right? He's a mobile passer. He's going to pull pass attempts out of that offense, probably more than Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones is limited, especially when throwing to the boundary. But if you're going to have these in-breaking routes, then Daniel Jones can put it right on you. I'm not worried about Daniel Jones on the types of routes where Neighbors thrives. So I'm a Neighbors guy. You, Theo, Harrison guys. Theo and I, we almost had a fight during the auction because he really wanted to bid up Harrison, and I was like, please don't, don't, because I knew we couldn't also get Neighbors. So I was holding back. I was like, come on, man. We can't. Come on. No, we got to stop. And yes, we got Neighbors for, $3 or $4 cheaper than Harrison, which was about right. I think they were both values. And I think that Harrison's going to be great. I just wouldn't draft him as high as he's going in seasonal leagues. And I think that he and Neighbors should be adjacent. Like, they should be getting drafted back to back. And that would make me happy if that happened. So the buzz right now is swirling around Kenneth Walker. He's going to catch passes this year, apparently. Charbonnet played in the preseason. Not great.
No.
Right? If you're not a rookie and you're playing in the preseason, it's not great. So what do you think of this Seattle backfield?
Yeah, this has been one of my favorite players to target all the time. I love Kenneth Walker. Now, part of that's going to be I am a sicko for those types of running backs. I really don't know why, but I have just always loved the running backs with size, speed, strength. I just want that. And Kenneth Walker is the epitome of that right now. It's an archetype the NFL loves. Fantasy football will always undervalue, but I really don't care if he only runs for 100 yards and a touchdown and only catches a couple passes. That's still hyper productivity. And just last year, heading into the season, he was the Dynasty RB1, right? Like, he was way up there, and now he's super, super acquirable. And we're holding him back because Zach Charbonnet was drafted, a guy that had to transfer out of Michigan to be able to find any production. Kenneth Walker, who produced in that same conference at Michigan State in the Big Ten, had 1,700 yards and 19 touchdowns as a junior. And without even getting into the metrics, right, it was easy to see. You have a new coaching staff coming in. The first time they walk into this running back room and see these guys standing next to each other, you can look and easily see that Kenneth Walker is just a different athlete, a true phenom. And we saw last year at the metrics, 4.38 40-yard dash for Kenneth Walker, of course, the 99th percentile college dominator, back-to-back 1,000-yard all-purpose seasons. But last year, number 2 in juke rate, number 3 in evaded tackles, and even number 4 in yards per reception. And the best part,
dude, the guy is incredibly elusive, and he's Nick Chubb with the ball in his hands. He is.
Yes. And the best part, in any game last year that Kenneth Walker played at least 12% of snaps, only 12%. Zach Charbonnet never saw more than 10 touches and never had a game with 10 points. Well, only had one game with 10 points in week 10, had exactly 10 points off of 10 touches and only 62 yards. But in that game, Kenneth Walker had 20 touches for 127 yards and a touchdown. It doesn't stop there. Kenneth Walker has seen 20 or more touches in 11 games throughout his career. In those 11 games, he averages 125 yards, 1 touchdown, and 20 points per game. This is a bell cow. This is a workhorse. This is one of the best running backs in the NFL, and you can get him right now as the RB16. Kenneth Walker, one of the best values right now. His nickname is literally Dog. What do you want? Canine.
Canine, man. Apparently, this is from Applied Literature in the chat, that Canine cut his locks off so he could be more aerodynamic.
Wow.
So now he's
Look
serious.
out.
I think he's just deciding to how can I just mentally take things to the next level, and that's all that is. Of course, it doesn't make you more aerodynamic, but it's just mentally I'm streamlining my whole body. This is basically like Ridley from Aliens. Yeah. This is what she's doing. She's just he's just we're going ham, and we're gonna kill all the aliens this year. That's what he's doing, and
I love it.
I think it's cool. Like, every year, Nick Chubb, when he's healthy, he's going second round.
Yeah.
So why not Walker in round 5? I think it's just yes, right. And it was cool because I know that Theo doesn't love guys like Kenneth Walker. Like, he really is a reception snob. Whereas, a Billy is going to be more likely to draft a guy like a Derrick Henry and appreciate the carry share.
Mm-hmm.
But we were in the Kings Classic, and he's like, we got to go Walker here. We got to go Walker. And I was like, I really want to go like really pure zero RB, like the most zero of zero RB. He's like, but we can't pass up Walker here. And I was like, if you're saying that,
yeah,
if you're, then I'm doing it. Then I'm fine. Then I'm shouting out Walker's name. Absolutely. Gimme.
Yeah.
Gimme. So yeah, And Charbonnet is overrated. Charbonnet is going too early.
Yeah,
Like
he is.
where he's going, like there's this an assumption that it's going to be a similar opportunity share breakdown distribution from last year. It's not going to be the case. It's not. I don't know why anyone is going to be surprised when it's like bell cow Kenneth Walker season and all this Charbonnet is being dropped. And it's really a shame when a guy gets drafted in the top early, top 120, or even the top 100 in some cases, gets dropped after a couple weeks. It's like, this is, I've got to make moves. Like, this guy's not getting the opportunities. Mm-hmm. There's other injuries to other running backs. I got to take shots on these other running backs. Buy Charbonnet. Right now, Chase Brown, his Bengals backfield's getting interesting. He is playing in the preseason in a good way, whereas I feel like Charbonnet playing is in a bad way. Charbonnet doesn't need the work. Charbonnet's been a workhorse at the college level. He doesn't need anything. He shouldn't have anything to prove. Chase Brown does, and so it's in that way, it's good because I know it's like very arbitrary. Like, okay, so let me get this straight. Chase Brown plays good. Charbonnet plays bad. It's like, yeah, because we know that Chase Brown is trying to develop into an every down player, and he had a long way to go, but he's coming in with a lot more baseline athleticism than Charbonnet. And so if he can get it figured out, if the light can come on with Chase Brown, then this is a home run. Like, this is one of the few guys that's being drafted outside the top 60. And if you're on Fast Draft, if you're drafting in round 6 in that all flex game, you're looking for who is very underowned, under-rostered, that I can pick up and get leverage on the field. Usually that's a rookie. Usually that's going to be a Xavier Worthy, a Brian Thomas, a Blake Corum. But if you're looking for a second-year player, then it's Chase Brown.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about athleticism. Chase Brown is kind of the poster child of that, right? 4.43 40-yard dash at 5'10", 210 pounds, and on a pretty good offense as well. We saw the explosiveness last year in Week 14. He had only 11 touches, but still finished the day with 105 yards and a touchdown. Of course, a lot of that's going to come from the screen that he housed. It was like 70 yards. But still, he has that big playability. Was drafted in the 5th round out of Illinois and was a pretty good producer in college, 93rd percentile college dominator.
What?
And I just don't... Yeah.
That he was productive.
Yeah. He was. It's pretty good.
But again, no one wanted him after that horrific Senior Bowl.
It's true. It's true. Bad pass protection will do that to you. I mean, it's why it's now taking till year 2 for him to actually really hit our fantasy radar. But I really just don't think the Bengals would have moved on from Joe Mixon if they weren't comfortable with him. I mean, they only got a 7th round pick in exchange. They had to feel some sort of comfortability in that room.
And then to not draft anybody.
Exactly. And then to bring in Zach Moss, a journeyman, who, had some spike weeks last week while Jonathan Taylor was hurt. But, I mean, let's face it, he's just a guy. It's budget, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Chase Brown has, a decent bit of upside, for sure. Did
you just come up with that?
Yeah, I did.
Wow. See, this is why you're so good. This is the reps. That's the reps right there. I'm telling you, man, I've been in your shoes. That's the reps. You just came up with that comp like that. Discount Gibbs Montgomery is what you're getting with Brown Moss. Yeah. And, sometimes you have to change your working assumptions with new information comes in. We're Bayesians. And I was not drafting Chase Brown 3 months ago. I was very skeptical. But then the NFL can't lie on draft day. And when they don't draft a running back, suddenly, okay, now I'm open for business with Chase Brown. You got to convince me. Then you get the buzz. Then you get the running with the ones, and then you get the nice preseason performance. And you're like, okay, all right, you're getting me there. As opposed to this is the one biggest complaint that I have about Dynasty analysis is that there's this huge premium put on conviction in your takes
Mm-hmm.
and you can't flip-flop on guys. And if you didn't like a guy throughout the process, shame on you if you start liking him and start drafting him and start touting him, then you're a fraudulent dynasty analyst. That is so wrong. The worst takes on the internet have come from dynasty analysts that just couldn't let go of their previous analysis, that were just pegged to what they were thinking, and they refused to pivot and update their assumptions because they don't want to be viewed as a flip-flopper. They want to be viewed as someone that has conviction. And it's like, okay, well, you know, that's sailed, man. That ship is off into the horizon. You got to get off it. You got to know when to just admit that you were wrong. No one has a bulletproof prospect evaluation notebook. No one has it, right? Everyone's been wrong about guys. Even Cody Carpentier, even the best in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Matty Kiwoom, best in the game. Alex Dunlap. They have a long list of guys that they were wrong about, and they'll talk to you about exactly where in the process they made a mistake and now how they're learning from it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was very happy that my read on Chase Brown allowed me to not draft him last year. Yep. And then I'm also happy that my flexibility and my embrace of Bayesian fantasy football has allowed me to get back on Chase Brown and be on Chase Brown when you need to be on him and off him when you need to be off him. That's the goal.
Yeah. It's easy, you know.
It's actually not that easy.
Well, you know, but it just
I actually don't think it's easy at all. I think it's very difficult. I think it's very some of these things it's very difficult. Like if I see if I start to get some information about where the Bears are with Roschon Johnson, if I see whispers or evidence of Herbert running ahead of Roschon at this point, then I would pivot, but it would hurt. It'd be very difficult. I'm very invested, and if it turns out, you know, he's just not that good, and he's been given all the opportunities, he's had his chances,
mm-hmm.
and they're sticking with Herbert, and Herbert is not that impressive, then I'm out. Yeah. But man, that would hurt. That's tough. That is tough because I do take pride in my conviction. It's a very difficult dance, man.
Yeah. No, you're right. I guess I just mean more so it comes back to the we don't hate players, we hate ADPs, all that stuff. Like Chase Brown was going around the same time last year, but Joe Mixon was ahead of him. Now you can get Chase Brown with Zach Moss maybe ahead of him with a question mark. And that's when you're like, okay, you know, I'll change my stance. You know, now it's a good enough value. I like what I've seen from him. I'll come around, you know? So it's all just part of the process, I think.
I'm invested, man. You can't say that I don't have conviction. I have conviction.
Yeah.
I have. Don't say, please don't smear me with that. It hurts.
You've got conviction.
It hurts if you have to recalibrate your analysis of a player that you like.
Yeah.
And the one thing about going to the Senior Bowl is you do meet these guys in person, and a lot of them are very likable, like Michael Wilson, like Tank Dell,
mm-hmm.
and like Evan Hull. So Luke Musgrave was just a cut-up. You know, and you're like, well, those are all the guys you like. You're just the guys. You just pencil in the guys you had a good conversation with at the Senior Bowl. And it's like, well, I don't know if that's true. I didn't necessarily have a great conversation with Rashee Rice. I thought he was fine. He wasn't super affable or anything. You know, but I'm drafting the hell out of him.
Yeah.
Right. So no, I mean, come on, no way. But you've been there. Like, what did you think of the Senior Bowl when you went?
Yeah, incredible place. Just first off, like being able to go there and seeing all of the pieces moving, the offense practicing, the defense practicing. You see Mike Tomlin shaking hands with all the players. It's just really cool. And you learn a lot. You really do. I mean, I had the pleasure of going alongside Cody Carpentier and Alex Dunlap from Roster Watch and being able to pick their brain on top of like Ray Garvin and everyone else who kind of came along to say hello. It was, I mean, really an unbelievable experience, and I think invaluable to some of the players that I'm starting to like. I mean, I talked about Ryan Flournoy and Devontae Walker earlier because of how much I liked them at the Senior Bowl. I don't like Ricky Pearsall because he was not good at the Senior Bowl, and to your point, was a terrible interview. I hated talking to that person. So, you know,
I just think we're going to look back, and that 2023 Senior Bowl is going to look so impressive. We get a Musgrave breakout.
Yeah.
We get a Michael Wilson breakout.
Yeah.
We get an Eric Gray mini breakout. We get a Tajay Spears breakout.
Yeah.
We got a lot of breakouts. I'm not even going to go there with Roshan. I don't even want to do that. I'm not even going to go there mentally. I can't even do that to myself. We already had the Tank Dell. We already had the Rashee Rice breakout. We already had the Puka Nacua breakout.
Yep.
I mean, it could be that the two Senior Bowls I've gone to have been the two best Senior Bowls. Because I also went to the Herbert Hurts Love Senior Bowl.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And
you know,
in that Senior Bowl, all I could talk about was Adam Troutman, like an idiot. Right? So, yeah, it may be that it's not a really great Senior Bowl unless I'm there.
I don't know. It was good this year. I liked it.
Yeah.
There were some great players this year. I'm very excited to see how they all develop. And
no Xavier Worthy, though. Xavier Worthy came out early.
This is true. This is true.
The Xavier Worthy's running with the ones. See, this is not supposed to be a big deal, but there's plenty of instances where the first-round wide receiver is not running with the ones at this point. It takes time. Mm-hmm. But for him to just be in with the ones immediately, and I know you're like, oh, Justin Watson, no one cares. It's like, no. A lot of times you'll see Justin Watson running with the ones early in camp, and then Worthy has to earn it.
Yeah.
But he was running with the ones when Marquise Brown was healthy.
Yeah.
So I don't understand his ADP. It's just one of those things where I love drafting these guys that 2 weeks from now are going to be 2 rounds earlier, but the evolution of an ADP, like, and unless a guy is fully out for the season, what you'll see is a slow creeping ADP. Mm-hmm. So if a guy's going to miss the first month of the season, it'll be like a month-long creep of the guy behind him, especially if that guy is exciting, has upside like Xavier Worthy. But it's not going to be this instant market correction. Mm-mm. And so those are my favorite guys to jump in on. And that's why we were all in on Worthy at the Kings Classic, because we're like, okay, this happened and it's going to take weeks to process. Because it's like we don't know exactly how many games Marquise Brown and the coaches said he's only going to miss a couple of games, and so we plug in 15 games played to our projections, and it really doesn't affect Worthy much. And it's like, no, man, no. If Brown's missing the rest of camp, all that rapport he would build with Patrick Mahomes, now we get to see Worthy, the first round pick that they're super invested in a starting every down role.
Yeah.
And then Brown comes back, man, those 2 games were everything.
And the camp. I mean, yes, Marquise Brown is a veteran, but it's still a new team for him, right? So, I mean, Xavier Worthy is going to get a huge boost with this, not only in his ADP, but just his connection with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's going to be force-fed the ball. And the great thing about Worthy is he's not just a deep threat. He did a lot in Texas, has a fairly complete route tree, and is pretty good with the ball in his hands. So, I mean, I could see some great usage for Worthy. I'm very excited for his rookie season. I mean, at this point, I would honestly expect him to outperform Hollywood Brown, and I think up until this point it had been in question. And his ADP should go up at least a few. I mean, Rashee Rice is wide receiver 32. Why shouldn't they be back-to-back, really?
I mean, how high could Rashee Rice go? 3rd round?
Yeah, fair. I mean, Rashee Rice probably needs a bump too. 5th round for him.
Yeah.
He's not being suspended.
This is what I'm saying. I think that this is for both of these players, for Rice and Worthy, it's going to be this slow, incremental ADP rise. You'll see it in the chart on Player Profile, the ADP graph. You'll see it just the slow internalization of what the season and how it's going to play out in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I was at the FF Expo. I was in Canton talking to a lot of fantasy analysts. Everyone I talk to believes Deshaun Watson's going to bounce back. And if that's true, then we might have a properly priced Jerry Jeudy. And I'm fine drafting him. For the first time, I'm fine drafting Jerry Jeudy. I draft him. I have some Jeudy.
Yeah. I mean, if the given in this premise is that Deshaun Watson bounces back, getting him as the wide receiver 59 on Underdog, wide receiver 69 in Dynasty, that's a pretty damn good price to get in on a 25-year-old receiver drafted in the first round. That being said, I don't think I'm on the Deshaun Watson bounce back train. I just don't. I mean, it's a good value to where it's okay to take that risk at quarterback 21, only 29, still under contract, has shown that ceiling. But I think something that we as fantasy analysts don't think about enough is how much of the sport of football is mental. You know, like, yes, you have to be a really good athlete, but your mind also has to be in it too. And I just think Deshaun Watson, his mind is in this game. I don't think that you can go back-to-back seasons with exactly 6 games played, exactly 1,100 yards, exactly 7 touchdowns, exactly 15 points per game, and not be checked out. He got his bag. He still has his bag for a couple more seasons. He's proven early in his career that he's a really good NFL player. I don't think he has any reason to put his head back in the game. I think
Doesn't he want to prove people wrong though? Doesn't he want to show people that he's still Deshaun Watson? Doesn't he have something that professionally to prove to the world? Who do you think has more upside for your second quarterback, especially if you're in these 14-team leagues? You're a 12-teamer. You don't need to draft a second quarterback. You can. Mm-hmm. If you're in a 14-teamer, generally you would, and you'd want to max out your upside. So who has the most upside in the late, or like early 20s of the quarterback ADP?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say
Herbert or Watson, because that was the decision point that that it came down a couple times at the Kings Classic, was Herbert versus Watson. Herbert versus Watson as your second quarterback.
It's Justin Herbert for me, even with the injury. I mean, this is one of the better rookie quarterbacks we've ever seen in NFL history. Very prolific passer. Even last year was on pace for yet another 4,000-yard passing season with no receivers, no weapons, really. It was just Keenan Allen, and then even he got hurt, right? Mike Williams was hurt early. Josh Palmer was hurt. He was literally throwing the ball to Quentin Johnston before injury and still amassed over 3,000 passing yards. I also like Harbaugh as a coach. I know we're not big on coach here at the Mind of Mansion, but still, to even have a competent person calling plays, more competent than Staley ever will be, I think affects just, at least in some positive way, that he'll at least be good. And that's really all I'm looking for at that range. And I think Justin Herbert, with his intangibles on top of his tangibles, is just such a good quarterback. Even with this injury he's picked up, like I really do like the value of him right now.
I like Herbert, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a whole, there was a war. there was a war between the two people that needed quarterbacks at the end. And we all had $1 left, but then a couple people had $2 left. And so someone nominated Watson, and he went to $2, and they didn't get him. And then I was like, ooh, that was a mistake. Watch this. Herbert, $1. Boom, got him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
To the end of an auction, it's hours and hours to get there, but I really enjoy it.
Auctions are the best.
They are, especially if you have camaraderie. I went into the other room, and then we were joking around. We were doing a lot of yelling at each other. And Theo and I were constantly bickering because I wanted to nominate guys for $2 to try to get it to bid and stick instead of letting it go. Someone bids 2, and then you can't get them, right? So I was like, we just got to bid 2. We just got to bid 2. And then so we had this huge debate, and Theo was like, no, we don't do that. Don't do that. So I was like, so I finally got to a receiver that I was okay bidding $1 on. I was like, Wan'Dale Robinson, $1. Instantly, someone next to me, 2. And I was like, all right, see, Theo, we're not going to get anyone we want. We can't do Michael Wilson for $1. It's never going to happen.
No.
Right? We're not going to get these guys. We got to go to $2. We did get Mason and Lobby for $1, so we did sneak a few in, right? A few dollar players in. But in a couple occasions, I was like, we did do Marvin Mims $2. I was like, can we do Marvin Mims $2? Because I also know my teammates.
Yeah.
Right. I know Theo loves Marvin Mims, so I'm like, Theo, can we at least do $2 on Marvin Mims? And he's like, yes. And then it stuck. But that was the whole thing. When you see a lot of people still have money left in an auction, and you know that like it's just the fickle nature of what. If people are even paying attention at that point, if you're going to get a guy, you know, it's like a hope and a prayer. You're like, Marvin Mims, $2, please. Right? Darnell Mooney, $2, please. Like, you're just like, it's, I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot.
It's awesome. You know, for a lot of my startups, I actually split it. We do like a snake or an auction for like the first 2 rounds, so everyone can like get their franchise. And then we switch to snake, and it's a really good way to do it. I'll just leave it at that.
Ooh,
it's a really good way to do it.
Ooh, you have an auction snake hybrid?
Yes. I've done it twice now for the Trade Gods Invitational League, and now the Wake and Take Invitational League as well. It just enables people, like you said, auctions let you get your guys that you want, and that's what it's all about in Dynasty.
How do people sign up for the Wake and Take Invitational?
Well, it is full now, but I'm planning to at least make like a best ball league or something. Maybe the winner can try to get in, but maybe I'll have to make another one, another 32-teamer.
Dude,
but,
look how popular you are. You.
Oh, you stop it.
No, so how do people at least express interest?
Yeah, I mean, if you just pop into the chat, the people here will tell you that.
Okay, 10 a.m. Wake and Take, 10 a.m. Get in the chat, express interest that way.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Or just hit me up on Twitter at @JFootballWine.
Have you picked up Jordan Whittington in any drafts or any Dynasty leagues?
Unfortunately not. It seems that he's pretty rostered across the board. I think a little slow on the uptick here. I think part of it was like, oh, can they really do it again? Can they really hit again? Can I really believe that? And, you know, you start talking to yourself, well, Tutu Atwell wasn't that bad. And, you know, Demarcus Robinson had some spike weeks there. So is there really much room for another guy behind Puka and Cooper Kupp? So
but that's the thing, though. Atwell and Robinson are not that good.
Exactly. It was an issue. Unfortunately, missed out on him, but it's seeming. I mean, it looked damn good in that preseason game. Has been making a ton of hype.
I want everyone to know, Jordan Whittington, I'm in. I'm so in, and I'm in for one reason and one reason only: the Rams defense.
Okay.
The Rams defense is going to be the worst defense in the league. They got nobody. They just cleared this thing out. They had no talent left, not even any Aaron Donald. They got nothing,
sad.
Right? It's a husk of a defense, and they're going to have to put up 35 a game. And in that context, when you have, you know, unproven receivers out of the backfield, Kyron Williams was a great receiver out of the backfield at Notre Dame, but not in the pros yet. Blake Corum caught 24 passes at Michigan, but he's not known as this electric satellite back. Tyler Higbee is not a target earner. He is just a straight-up replacement level tight end. So then all you have now are the 2 wide receivers, and one of them's hurt. This is an offense that will support 3 receivers if that third receiver is any good. Mm-hmm. And it's just a low bar to be better than Demarcus Robinson, bigger than Tutu Atwell. Because if Tutu Atwell were 190 pounds, Tutu would be great.
Yeah.
I'd love Tutu. But you're much bigger than Tutu. You're better than Demarcus Robinson. And that's one of those offenses where the number 3 wide receiver could really thrive.
Yeah. Definitely.
So.
I mean, not even injury dependent. I mean, he's going to get some volume. I checked the past 3 seasons, the number 3 target earner, I guess the wide receiver that had the third most targets on the Rams the past 3 seasons. None of them have eclipsed 70, but they've all had at least 60 targets, which is nothing to scoff at, especially for a rookie wide receiver in an offense that's going to score a lot of points. He'll definitely have some spike weeks. So I like the call a lot. It's going to be fun. I like this offense, really.
I do too.
That's
I have for you, Jason, 10 burning questions.
Woo.
No,
Okay.
not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9. 10 burning questions for Jason Allwine after this. Oh, it's the Podfather, and last year's fastest growing fantasy platform is back. It's Smash Up Fantasy. They've got these leagues where you redraft your team every week and you get smarter as the season progresses. Now, Smash Up also has a patented power-up card. These are actual cards that can boost your individual players or your entire team. So if you think Lamar Jackson's going to run wild all over the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1, play the Scramble Spikes Smash Up card to turbocharge his rushing points. And that's not all. Smash Up also is introducing the world's first single-player fantasy game. Think Street Fighter meets fantasy football, where you can go toe-to-toe versus an increasingly difficult fantasy football boss and qualify for the postseason Tournament of Champions. So test your skills against me, the Podfather, and the Player Profiler team today at smashupsports.com and use code PlayerProfiler. The code is Player Profiler to get special perks like extra lineups for these weekly tournaments and so much more. And it's all free at smashupsports.com. Smash Up. If you heard the Smash Up talk I had a minute ago, I saw them at the FF Expo. We were next to each other, the Smash Up guys. And I was a Magic the Gathering guy. I love Magic the Gathering. I love card games, any card game. Cribbage, poker. I love card, and the idea that you would be able to play fantasy football, but also get these cards that kind of that have this super cool twist. Mm-hmm. I was like, wow, this is and there was a lot of traffic. We were at the Fast Draft booth, and I was looking over at the Smash Up booth, and I was like, man, I love Smash Up, but I'm a little bit jealous of all the traffic they're getting. People are really into it, so cool. I think that's if there's one platform just to try it and just to check it out because it's free and it's super cool just to kind of expand your horizons and expand what fantasy could be, absolutely got to check out Smash Up Sports. So 10 burning questions. We'll get right to it. Blake Corum or Jonathan Brooks?
Jonathan Brooks. I'm going with Jonathan Brooks for now. I know it's going to take some time for him to return, but he's going to be the bell cow when he comes back. And I like Chuba Hubbard while Jonathan Brooks is out. But once Brooks is there, he's going to be the offense of the Panthers. Like they traded up for him. They very clearly want him. And I don't really trust Bryce Young enough to be spreading it around to all these wide receivers. I really do still think he's going to kind of go back to throwing to the running back out of the backfield. It's going to be Jonathan Brooks, especially for that second half. I do like Blake Corum. I like him a lot. But I do believe that Jonathan Brooks has a little bit higher ceiling. That's not necessarily contingent on an injury. I think that Blake Corum is heading for a 50-50 time split with Kyren Williams. A 50-50, which is good. It's, as we talk about, this Rams offense, we like. They're going to score points. The running game, it's going to be a very nice little cycle between the two. But I think that Jonathan Brooks just has a little bit higher of a chance to be like the guy in Carolina. And so I'm taking him right now. I know. I had to get one bad sounder out of the way, right?
That's incorrect. That's straight up incorrect, Jason. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
It's okay.
It's incorrect.
It's all right.
The floor is higher with Corum. The ceiling is higher with Corum. You're not going to get what you think from a bell cow on the Panthers. If you're interested in Panthers running backs, I would suggest Chuba Hubbard and get that production, whatever that's going to be, in the month of September. And then that's one of the great ways to build a zero RB roster. You got to get your RB2. It's Jerome Ford or it's Chuba Hubbard. Just find the running backs rehabbing ACLs. You know they're going to start the year on the pup, at least for a week or two. So just make sure you at the back of your draft, make sure you're getting Chuba, make sure you're getting Jerome Ford. In this auction, we didn't have an RB2, and I did a bid and stick on Jerome Ford at a point where there's a lot of money still out there, and I just nominated him. Jerome Ford, $6. So I nominate Jerome Ford, $6, and there were no more options. Chuba was gone. Every other option was gone, right? Zach Moss, Chase Brown, all gone, right? This was it. This was our week 1 production on the line, okay? And I look around. It was $6. I look around, and I noticed a bunch of people weren't really paying attention. They were looking down at their computers. They were, whatever it was, they were eating something. And then I looked over at the auctioneer because it was a real auctioneer. It was a real legit auctioneer. He does like estate sales and like livestock. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I looked over at him, and he was like going twice. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to get him. We got our RB2. And it is sold. And I was like, oh my God, Theo. Like that, those are the moments in auctions. Like those are the moments where you're like, everything is riding on this bid and stick. And it actually worked. That's the thing, though. I'm all about Ford. I'm all about Chuba because you're getting a starter, and then that buys you time to get another starting running back on the waiver wire in weeks 1 through 3. That's the whole premise of zero RB. It's predicated on that. You get the Chuba, and then you go and find the next sort of Jerome Ford from 2023.
Exactly.
That's the move. That's the move. So that's part of why I'm not drafting Jonathan Brooks in seasonal leagues. Dynasty, absolutely. He's a great talent, but not. Well, who do you like better? Do you like Jerome Ford or Chuba?
Ford for sure, because I think Chuba obviously a great pick while Brooks is out, and I think we'll probably at least get something when he's there. But Jerome Ford, I don't think when Nick Chubb comes back, Nick Chubb is getting anywhere near Nick Chubb volume. Like, I still think it's going to be a pretty even split, if not still in Jerome Ford's favor. We saw the Cleveland Browns do that last year with Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford still only had a 50% opportunity share, but he still had over 1,000 yards, still averaged 12 points per game, which is 25th amongst running backs. And the Browns were 4th in run plays per game. So, I mean, that's a lot of running volume. I think even when Nick Chubb comes back, he's not going to be 100% for sure. I mean, he's 28 now, almost 29, coming off that ACL. Like, Jerome Ford's going to get a ton of opportunity even when he's there. But while he's not there, he's going to get all the opportunity. So I like Ford a lot at his current value. What, RB 38? I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's going after Tyler Algier. I like Tyler Algier too. Tyler Algier is also going to give you some baseline production, 8-9 fantasy points. Yeah. That can be just enough to get you into week 2, week 3, week 4, and get a running back that's actually going to produce more than Tyler Algier. But then there's also the Bijan injury upside. So we did draft in the Kings Classic. I know there's questions in the chat about Algier. Yes, we did draft him. Yes, we did. Theo's a big Algier fan. Just he loves the fact that just thinks that this offense is going to be so high scoring that there's 10 fantasy points a game. Even when Bijan gets there, there's 10 fantasy points a game left over for Algier, and I'm fine with that. Speaking of Bijan or Breece Hall?
It has taken me a while to get here because luckily they're both coming off Achilles injuries, Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers, but for some reason in my gut, I just feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to want to escape to Breece Hall all the time. Like, he's just going to want to dump it off. But Braylon Allen started to get me scared, and the way that the Jets plan to utilize this backfield, it seems a little scary. I'm not going to lie. So with that being said, I'm now officially I'm pressing the Bijan button. I've been kind of going back and forth trying to even my exposure, but now I'm just locking myself in. Give me Bijan, year 2 explosion, 1,500 yards, 20 touchdowns. Give me the guy.
We're a Bijan shop, right? Yeah. We're a Bijan. Player Profiler is a Bijan shop. So, and if you see Bijan ranked below Breece Hall in any format on playerprofiler.com, you call me. You email me, podfather@rotounderworld.com. I almost give up my cell phone. Email me Podfather at rotowonderworld.com, and we will get that fixed. That's not the way it's supposed to be. I think that it's, as the news is coming out that Kirk Cousins is gonna be, a go for week 1. We get that certainty. That's all you need, because they're so razor close.
Yeah.
But you got to. I was going Bijan no matter what, though. No matter what the projection said, I was going Bijan anyway, because if Bijan hits his max capacity for fantasy point scoring is like 400 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So give me, who is your guy in the top 50? Your guy.
My guy.
Just give me one guy that you would consider your guy. My guy's Malik Neighbors. Everyone knows that by now.
Yeah.
Who's your guy in the top 50?
It was Cooper Kupp. It now, obviously, over the last week or so, it has kind of dwindled. But
that's good, though. That's great. Yeah. Proven right.
It feels great. Right? I mean, Cooper Kupp last year, when he returned, so he missed 4 games. Remember this, everyone. He missed 4 games. But still somehow was able to finish top 10 in red zone targets, just total red zone targets amongst wide receivers. And then also, he actually had more games than Puka Nacua when they were both on the field of 10 or more targets. So I think that shows that the Rams still very clearly love Cooper Kupp and still very clearly want to get him involved. Only 31, but his type of play style ages really, really well. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald played years after this. I think 35, 36 for Larry. That's very much within Kupp's outcome. Still has 2 more years actually left on his contract as well for some dynasty take, if you want that as well. But for redraft, I still think Cooper Kupp easily has a potential to not only finish in the top 10, but also to outperform Puka Nacua.
I love seeing these new members of the chat. Are you familiar with All In Fun?
I feel like I've seen them a couple times.
All In Fun's got a big bicep in there. Okay. That's his avatar. And I don't recognize him. And I love seeing these new members of the chat helping to produce the show. And he said the thing that's been on my mind that I've never actually spoken out loud, but I swear to God I've thought it multiple times, because I am a walking, talking dad joke. He said that he thinks Bijan Robinson should do a Dijon mustard commercial.
Mm-hmm. I think he actually has a brand.
That's so exactly right. I mean, Dijon Robinson.
Yeah,
of course. That commercial script writes itself, man.
It actually exists. Bijan Mustardson. BijanMustardson.com. You can go buy a bottle of it.
Okay, but that's not.
It's Bijan's Dijon mustard.
No? Wait, is it his mustard?
Yeah. Like, it's got his face on it.
So he's licensing his likeness to a mustard company already?
Yeah, the official Dijon mustard of Atlanta Falcons running back Bijan Robinson. It'll break your mouth's ankles.
Say that again.
It'll break your mouth's ankles.
Say that one more time.
They gotta get a better phrase. There's a better phrase.
Can you say that one more time?
It'll break your mouth's ankles.
So this already exists. Thank you to everybody for letting us know that all this stuff is old news. And I appreciate the new guy in the chat making me look like an idiot, that I didn't know that there was already a Bijan Mustardson mustard out there. Still, though, Bijan mustard, I just kind of, I just want to call him, and I think that maybe we could even do this on Player Profiler. It's bad because we need we can't have for search. You can't just call a guy a completely different name, because then no one can search for him on the site. But Dijon Robinson it rolls off the tongue so much better than Bijan Mustardson.
It does.
Right? I love Dijon Robinson, and I don't know why they didn't go with that. Like, everyone out there, can you just please call me? Okay? Can everyone just please call me? There was an AI startup that just launched called Fast Draft, where it automatically uses AI to write your initial draft of an article or whatever written piece of literature. And that's great. That's great. Fast Draft. It's a great name. Too bad it's already been trademarked. Okay, so that's the thing. If you want to have the best possible branding, call me, and I'm not giving out my cell phone, but email me, podfather@rotounderworld.com. If you have my number, call me, and we'll talk. And I'll tell you what the best name is. I'll give you a tagline. I'll give you everything. Okay? So that's just a pro tip for anybody in business. Ask me, and I'll give it to you straight away. And now, I don't know. I don't know what the fast draft people are going to do. The AI fast draft people. I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have to go find a new name to trademark because they can't trademark fast draft. Yeah. And still, I'm guessing, Bijan Robinson is still available, still out there.
Yeah, and Bijan Mustard probably.
Oh, you mean? No, I still think. I think if you're going to go, if you're going to keep the name Bijan, I think Mustardson is the way to go.
Okay.
I think Mustardson's better than just Mustard.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think it's dominated by Bijan Robinson. I think everyone know. I think anyone in the chat would agree with that, right?
Yeah. 100%.
So you could see I'm trying to deflect away from the fact that I didn't know about this whole Bijan Mustardson product, and then so of course I'm just going to come over the top, right? I'm always going to come over the top and try to do a bully, push to kind of stir the pot,
yeah.
Right? So anyway. I'm never wrong, unless I am.
And then, but if you're wrong, you're just mistaken.
Well, it's just it's a wrong assumption that just needs to be adjusted, and then we'll get it right. It's not exactly wrong. It's usually just an imprecise assumption that led to an inaccurate projection, which led to a suboptimal list of players. Not exactly wrong, though, right? Unless I'm wrong, and then I'm wrong. So, okay, so there's your guy in the top 50, Cooper Kupp. Who's the one guy you're not drafting in the top 50?
I guess Puka Nacua would be a cop-out, so I'll say Tyreek Hill. I can't spend time.
I can't get him either.
I don't want him, though, at the cost. I know, I understand. He has the highest upside in the NFL, but he's also 30 years old, and I can't do it. If he was pick 8, 7, maybe I can get a little bit
I'd take him over Chase.
Yeah. I've made the Chase decision more than a few times.
Maybe. If I ever had that choice to make, it would be a tough one.
I think we're kind of forgetting how good Jamar Chase is, to be honest.
I haven't had an opportunity to do that yet, to make that choice. It would be tough.
I can't.
You're at least taking Hill over Jefferson?
Now, it's a little bit like, now I think I have to, but I think I would take Amon-Ra and Chase over Tyreek for sure. And then even then, I'm still, I don't know. Because then with Justin Jefferson, what I really like, this is best ball meta discussion here. What I really like about the NFC North right now is the Week 17 stacks that you can do. So the Vikings take on the Packers, but then you look around the rest of the NFC North, and it's actually all inclusive. You can build NFC West, NFC North teams. The Lions play the 49ers, the Bears play the Seahawks, and then the Packers play the Vikings, and then who am I forgetting? Cardinals Rams. No.
I've seen this movie before, by the way. Mm-hmm. I have seen this movie before. Seahawks Bears. That game, I can tell you this, that game is either going to be 13-10 or 33-31. I don't know which one it's going to be. It's going to be one of those two. It's going to be one of those two. It's either going to be a shit show with like backup quarterbacks, like 2 backup quarterbacks, or it's going to be Geno, Caleb, laser light show. Yeah, one or the other. I don't know, but
it's in Chicago.
It's worth getting some exposure to those stacks for sure.
Definitely. And there's some good players there. Some really good players there with good costs. Really across the board. I have a lot of like 100% West North teams. It's just really fun to build.
That is
great
fun.
Offenses. good shootouts. So when I'm staring at Justin Jefferson, I just know I'll have that in the back of my head where it's like, well, then I can really get a nice kind of continuity going between all the teams, and then I get Sam Darnold late, and I got the stack. Whereas then I have to reach for Tua, and then it makes me, if I get Tyreek, it's like, oh, I kind of want Achane, but then I never really want to draft Achane. So it's really just a headache.
Can't get Achane. Achane's on my. I'm not drafting Achane. Can't do it. Won't do it. And then there's now the beat reporters are coming out saying, oh, Jalen Wright's gonna have a role. I'm like, you think? Right? Raheem Mostert's the team captain. I know that. Right? Devon Achane's yards per carry unsustainable. I know that. So a lot of great choices at running back, or I could just go receiver. Right? That's probably what I'm doing. Waddle, Neighbors. There's no room. There's no. If I want a running back, I'm not going to go with Achane. No. Right? Or I can wait a couple rounds and get a guy that's going to outproduce him like Rachaad White. So I don't. It's a puzzle with no solution. How do you draft Achane with a straight face? Can't figure it out.
It's got to be weekly winners. It's just straight up has to be weekly winners. Like, that's it.
Okay. All right, maybe. Which ADP move this offseason has surprised you the most?
I'm going to save the rest of this take for later, but Drake London's massive, meteoric rise has shocked me.
Good. Yeah, it should be shocking. Bo Nix looked good in preseason.
He did.
So how are you playing this Denver offense for fantasy?
I am only drafting Bo Nix, Marvin Mims, and I'm taking Troy Franklin shots. I am.
Okay.
I am. Okay. Because I don't want any of these running backs. I think they're all priced as if they're going to hit, every single one of them. Everyone's like, oh, Jaleel McLaughlin's my guy. I'm going to steam him up. Oh, I love Blake Watson. I'll steam him up. Audric Estime, he needs to get steamed up. And Javonte Williams is still a top 30 running back. With it being that messy, and with this offense probably being really terrible, all of their points are more than likely going to come from the garbage time. So I'll take the quarterback. I'll take the cheap wide receivers. And then if a running back breaks out, I'll go trade for him. I'll pay the marginal difference. I don't really think they're going to get that much more expensive if they do actually hit. I'm going to just take the safe approach when it comes to that backfield. But I do want me some Nix, Mims, Franklin here and there.
I'm going Nix, Mims, Dulcich.
Oh, yes, Dulcich. That's a good one.
The backdoor double stacks. That's how I'm playing it.
I like that.
All right. More likely to be cut, Kamani Vidal or Deneric Prince?
No, I don't like that question.
No, it's a trick question. Deneric Prince has a 0% chance of getting cut because he's awesome and he's better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he's going to be the number 2 on that team, and he's probably the most upside for the dollar handcuff backup running back in the league, and you need to be drafting him. And then he also looked good in preseason. I mean, the clock is ticking to get Deneric Prince rostered in fantasy football, and Kamani Vidal is on the outside looking in on this roster. And he has no buzz, and he has impressed nobody, and there's no risk. Here's the thing. He's a small school player that's not impressing anyone in preseason. There is zero risk another team is going to scoop him. So they can just put him on the taxi squad. He's going to go into the practice squad. He's not going to be active.
Yeah. No, I think it is like, that's where
they're
I guess
they're going to cut him. They're going to cut him when they go down to 53, and they're just going to put him on the practice squad, and no one's going to poach him. And if anything other than that happens, I would be beyond shocked. So to me, he's not a cut sure thing.
That's fair. I mean, I guess I was kind of looking at it differently. I think that practice squad makes a lot of sense for Vidal. I don't see him being like a total free agent, like and going to another team though. I think the Chargers do want him. They drafted him for a reason. Unfortunately, he's had a couple very minor injuries that have sidelined him through various practices and this week's preseason game. So it's just unfortunate. But the good news is nothing's really changed in terms of Kamani Vidal breaking out. Like, it still was going to take a Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins injury. Those are still very much on the table. It's still very much a run-heavy offense. He's still a very good talent, mega producer out of college, still related to Hank Aaron, right? Has some bloodline in him as well.
Christ.
So,
okay, Trevor Pick 9 has a great comment.
Yeah.
Vidal is the sus bus. That's a good nickname, the sus bus. I like that. I like that a lot because he's very stout and durable, right? He's got that Jerome Bettis body type for sure. The sus bus, love it.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah. He called himself Maurice Jones-Drew when I interviewed him, and that's my favorite running back of all time. Yeah, I was like, so who's your comparable? He said Ray Rice and Maurice Jones-Drew. Both good polls. I appreciate when players give me good polls. What I don't appreciate is when they say, oh, yeah, I'm Justin Jefferson. No, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're
yeah,
not.
I've gotten plenty of those. So have you noticed that it's interesting that there's an actual cliff at wide receiver 50, right at that Cortland Sutton marker in the sand? It goes from guys with upside, guys that are starting, guys that you can feel good about week in, week out, to just complete fringe.
Yeah.
It's like there's like exactly 50 receivers you can have confidence in this year. It's weird. It's just weird that it's exactly 50.
Yeah, but there's still some fun ones, at least for best ball, right? A lot of these best ball only wide receivers start to show up. Like,
who's your favorite best ball only wide receiver?
Favorite. Honestly, I hate saying this, but when I'm looking at the list I put together, assuming DeAndre Hopkins doesn't count since he's like right there, I'm going to say the gross answer and go with Gabe Davis. Jacksonville Jaguars offense, it's going to have those spike weeks. You don't have to worry about it since it's best ball. I hate saying it. I hate saying it out loud, but I think that's the one I like most. It's a pretty decent list. Gabe Davis, Jahan Dotson, Romeo Doubs, Darnell Mooney, Khalil Shakir, Tyler Lockett. Not terrible, but you're not very confident with those guys.
Oh. Tresnor's back in the chat, and he's saying that he was being sarcastic. That he was calling him the sus bus, ironically, that he's the best running back and they're going to cut Dobbins.
That would be wild. If they cut Dobbins, that would be a big shock. That'd be shocking.
I don't know. He says it's Dobbins is going to get cut. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think so. I think that Dobbins, even with a hitch in his gait, is more explosive than Gus Edwards, and Gus Edwards isn't going anywhere.
This is true.
And I think Elijah Dotson. These even if Spiller is still a beta, they probably want to give him at least one more look.
Yeah,
and I think there's a bigger risk. I think that if you're the general manager of the Chargers, you think there's a higher probability that Spiller gets scooped off of waivers than Vidal.
I would think Vidal has a higher chance just because he's the rookie and just led college football in rush yards. I would assume some team would want him. The Cowboys, for example, the Zeke replacement.
Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison went down in practice, going for a contested ball. He's being carted off the field per Alec Lewis. Thank you to Harry Snowman.
What? I would hate to be a Vikings fan, but just give some more points. It seems you really got to get Justin Jefferson. He could lead the NFL in targets this year. Who's catching the ball?
I guess we got to shift it around. I had the three target leaders in the NFL being Amon-Ra, Lamb, Neighbors. It's wrong. It's now Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, Lamb. I can't put Neighbors in the top three anymore.
You can't do it. Does Aaron Jones catch 70 passes?
Aaron Jones undervalued. We've been well ahead on Aaron Jones all year. He's going 7th round. I've seen him go super late, and it doesn't make sense. So we're well ahead of ADP, even though it's gross on Aaron Jones, and I'm still there with that.
Yeah.
Jordan Addison, this is very disconcerting because if he misses the season or a large percentage of the season, then he's going to miss games next year too, likely getting suspended.
Yeah.
This is just not a good start to a career. This is why you can't put yourself in a position to be interacting with law enforcement and potentially suspended because you're going to be missing games with injury. You can't exacerbate that, and there's just fewer and fewer opportunities to shine, to produce, and to earn your next contract. It's football, man. It's brutal.
Yeah. It's a gladiator sport. So I would like it.
But it's tough. I feel it's just, man.
Yeah. It is.
A lot of news breaking.
A lot of news breaking. It's like an episode of Wake and Take.
It is. It is. And again, Liv is in there saying, smash that like button. Thank you, Liv. If you like the real-time news breaking that we're doing here. I also have more questions. I have more burning questions if we can get past the news. Michael Wilson.
Okay.
Right? I mentioned him before. He's my guy outside the top 50. If I had to bet on a guy breaking out, bet on a guy helping you win your league, because the spike weeks from a Darnell Mooney, I mean, and a Mims, those are going to be nice. But in terms of guys you can start in a managed league, Wilson has that potential, one of very few. Mm-hmm. You agree with that?
Yeah, I like Michael Wilson a lot. He's a very good complementary wide receiver. And with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride taking away so much and him just being the kind of de facto wide receiver too, I think he's going to at least outperform his 500 yards and a few touchdowns last year. I think he's like destined to be like a 800-yard perennial receiver, but there's nothing wrong with that, especially the range he's in. My favorite thing about FFPC actually is their rookie drafts have veterans in them. And so you can get like the Michael Wilsons in the ranges of like Malik Washington. And so that's a very fun thing to do in the FFPC. That's kind of where
you got to trade for picks in the FFPC.
You really do. You really do.
Taysom Hill, he's the biggest steal at tight end. No matter what happens with this Kendre Miller knucklehead news, right? And it's like, oh, he's injured. It's like, no, it's not just that he's injured, right? If you're a player who's going ham at all times and you get injured, your coaches will absolutely support you and not pull the rug out. Right. So when you see that happening, it's more than just an injury with Kendre Miller.
Right.
And Jamal Williams was running a 4.6 out of college, and he is very close to having the explosiveness dial on E.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara is almost 30. Right? And so what does this tell you about who they're going to be giving the ball to inside the 5-yard line? Taysom Hill.
He's also, I've heard, getting some special teams usage too for you Scott Fishbowl freaks.
It's going to be great
everywhere.
Get Taysom Hill. Yeah, Taysom Hill in the Scott Fishbowl. I would love nothing more than Taysom Hill being the winning piece for the Scott Fishbowl. Unbelievable. So in Dynasty, deep, who's your truther that you're not dropping?
The truther I just can't drop. Okay. Well, so last year when I came on, I, for some reason, said Kyle Pitts was my truther.
Yeah, that was a bad truther.
Total
really
bad
truther. Yeah, 1,000-yard young tight end is my truther. What?
Such a truther. So I'm making up for that. But I will stay in the tight end area. And I'm sure the chat that's tuned into Wake and Take knows where I'm going with this. But we've got a tight end going into year 3, but really year 2 because they missed all of last year due to injury. He's on a team that heavily uses the tight end position. In fact, last year, the group combined for over 100 targets and 800 receiving yards with no true alpha. This tight end, however, he's 6'7". He's 250 pounds. He runs a 4.6. His 94th percentile agility, 95th percentile burst, 98th percentile catch radius. And in his final year of college, amassed 600 yards and 8 touchdowns. And in his rookie campaign, at 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Actually had a game winner in overtime versus the Chiefs. Had a 9-target game against the Steelers. I'm, of course, talking about Jelani Woods. Not getting a ton of hype right now, I realize it. But Jelani Woods, he has the actual potential, athleticism, and everything you want in a tight end to be an alpha in this room that Anthony Richardson loves. That Shane Steichen loves. So I think once he gets healthy, he's just going to continuously climb up that depth chart. It might take some time. But he will eventually take over that tight end 1 role. And he will.
He will. There's still not going to be enough targets. It's a red zone play in that offense, but it's interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
So it's a guy you got to stick with. You just even if he doesn't really break out until his second team in Dynasty, you got to keep this guy stashed. You cannot drop Jelani Woods.
No, I
That's
can't
what
do it.
truthering's all about. You figured it out. Yep. It's not Kyle Pitts. That's not a truther. It's absolutely Jelani Woods.
Yeah. No, I feel good about that take. I like the Jelani Woods truther.
Okay, one more take. I'll get you out of here. Bold prediction.
Okay. So I've already teased this one. I've said it a few times already. One of the biggest risers this offseason was Drake London. This is because he's the Falcons wide receiver 1, and a lot of people are drawing the parallels that Drake London is going to be the biggest benefactor of this quarterback change, of the coaching change. He's going to be the next Justin Jefferson. He's going to be a true stud. But are we really so sure that that's the case? I'm really not. He's just not a Justin Jefferson type receiver, and he's not a route technician. He's 6'4", he's 210 pounds, and last year he was 80th in target separation, 72nd in route win rate, 75th in true catch rate, 31st in contested catch rate. He only runs a 4.54, never had a 1,000-yard season, and I just think there's a difference in being a wide receiver 1 and being a focal point of an offense like a Justin Jefferson is. So I really think we're all wrong. And there's something in common here with Kirk Cousins, with the new coaching staff, and that is the love for the tight end position. While Drake London has been a huge riser, Kyle Pitts has not. He actually has a 1,000-yard season under his belt. He's taller than Drake London at 6'7". He's heavier than Drake London at 245 pounds. He's faster than Drake London, running a 4.49 40-yard dash. He's going into his second year post-MCL. He's fully healthy. He's going to return to form. Going off the board as the tight end 6, do not be surprised when Kyle Pitts not only outproduces Drake London, but finishes the year as the overall tight end 1.
Woo! We're not going out on that. We're going to go out on that in the podcast. But I want to reward everyone. We have 560 live viewers in the chat right now. And we do not have a promo system set up on Fast Draft yet. But for all of you that are in the chat right now, and this is only for people that are live right now, if you email me, podfather@rotounderworld.com, the word live, just type the word live in the subject line and email me once you register on Fast Draft. I will fund your account with $25 of promo bucks so you can draft on us.
That's pretty good. That's pretty damn good.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, Data Analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.